3rd tier, 4th tier, and finally, 5th tier. To deal with high-level demonic beasts, usually only a 5th tier powerhouse could eliminate them. Human talents were also divided into 7 levels, from D rank to SSS rank. The higher the rank, the greater the power, making killing demonic beasts much simpler. Only by awakening an A rank talent or higher could one hope to pass the major examination to become a 1st tier powerhouse. Back in reality, it was time to leave school. Zhang Ze slung his backpack over his shoulder and looked at his watch. It was getting late, and he had to hurry home to prepare for entering the demon territory tonight. Zhang Ze opened the classroom door, determined that he must try his best to awaken an A rank talent and pass the examination. There were only 10 minutes left until the awakening time. Glory or shame would be decided in this moment. Zhang Ze pressed a button on his watch, which immediately shot out a bolt of lightning, and the space around him transformed, catching him off guard. But when he opened his eyes, a little elf girl appeared, welcoming him to the demon territory. She was his guide elf. Zhang Ze tense asked if this was the newcomer training grounds of the demon territory. The little elf asked him to please provide a name and choose an outfit to use in the demon territory. Zhang Ze was already prepared. Name Rakshasa, outfit face concealing. He thought to himself that everyone said the demon territory was dangerous, so it was best to hide his true identity. The little elf happily fulfilled his request, and with a flash, she released energy that enveloped his body, transforming into a black outfit that made him look incredibly cool. The little elf began to guide Rakshasa. We will now awaken your talent. You just need to place your hand on the crystal ball and the talent will automatically be displayed. Following her instructions, he placed his hand on the crystal ball, his mind filled with the hope of awakening an A-rank talent. The ball began to glow and he shouted, "Give me an A-rank." The crystal ball shone brighter and brighter, but then the light suddenly went out with a pop, leaving Zhang Ze stunned. Seeing no further reaction from the ball, he asked the elf, "Is that it? What rank is my talent?" The elf looked at the crystal ball with a surprised face. Her silence made his face turn pale and break out in a cold sweat, his expression turning miserable. Could it be that he didn't awaken any rank at all? But reality was wilder than any dream. He had awakened an SSS rank. Hearing the little elf's words, he couldn't believe what he was hearing. The little elf then announced that Zhang Ze had awakened the SSS rank skill talent, a type of skill that only existed in legends and had never been seen in this world. Zhang Ze was truly incredibly lucky. Upon hearing this, Zhang Ze's heart exploded with joy. Just awakening an S-rank talent was enough to get into prestigious universities with a bright future, yet he had awakened an SSS rank. This meant he finally had a chance to change his destiny. The elf pointed to an information panel in front of him. This is the guide for Zhang Ze's summoning skill talent. She told him to research it himself later. The information panel displayed his attributes. Summoning skill. SSS level 1. Experience 0, 1000, cost 10, mana cooldown. 60 seconds. Effect. After killing a target, you can summon a replicated version of it. This replica is identical to the original, has no time limit, and can be leveled up to a maximum of the 5th tier. After reading this, Zhang Ze couldn't help but be amazed. This summoning skill was too overpowered. A level 1 summoning skill could summon 10 replicas, and a level 2 could summon 30. Just by killing one monster, he could summon another. At this rate, he could form a monster army and lead a legion of bosses. The mere thought of it made his limbs tingle with excitement. He then clicked a button on the panel to view his character sheet. The information panel displayed. Name Rakshasa, IDC Nation, 247511176, HP 100, mana 110, damage 1 to 10, speed, strength, stamina, agility, all 10/10, except for spirit, which was 11/10, skill, 1st tier summoning, skill, SSS equipment, none overall assessment, newcomer. He was a bit surprised after seeing it. His spirit was slightly higher than a normal person's. Was it because he was a transmigrator? Then the elf waved goodbye to Zhang Ze as her mission ended. The demon territory began to dissipate, revealing a clear blue sky and sunlight. Below was a large arena with 4 pillars transmitting lightning to each other. A female teacher raised her hand and said loudly, "Newcomers, please come over here. We are teachers from the Demon Territory Management Bureau responsible for explaining the basics of the demon territory to you." But the students didn't seem to hear her as they were busy chattering noisily. Zhang Ze was excited to see so many new people. This was what a real demon territory should be like. At that moment, the students were surrounding a young man, endlessly praising him. He pointed to his face and proudly introduced himself as Great Strength Fist, an A-rank talent. The 2 people next to him were full of admiration. Although their talents were B rank, they were already very satisfied. They never expected to see someone awaken an A-rank talent. It was truly admirable. Another person felt inferior with his D-rank skill and knelt down crying. A stern teacher said, "Everyone line up. We will now distribute weapons." After a while, the new students formed a neat line and received their weapons one by one. The teacher warned them to remember that the demon territory was not a game. Death was final. He had seen many people come to the demon territory with a playful attitude, and of course they all ended up paying a heavy price. The demon territory was both a battlefield and a lawless place. New students not only had to be wary of demonic beasts, but also of other people. It was a place full of deceivers and murderers. For their own safety, they could not easily trust anyone. The female teacher holding a file added, "Also, everyone must remember to leave the demon territory. You must return to the altar here. Only at the altar can you go back." When it was Zhang Ze's turn to receive his weapon, he wore a black cloak and a hood that covered his face. The teacher, while writing in the file, asked Zhang Ze to register his talent rank and then choose a weapon. Hearing this, he said his talent rank was D. He thought to himself that it was a good thing he had hidden his talent level. In the demon territory, people's hearts were treacherous. No matter how high one's talent was, one could still be backstabbed. Only becoming strong first was the way of a king. The male teacher asked Zhang Ze what weapon he wanted, and he chose a bow and arrows. The people below whispered and mocked his talent rank. Zhang Ze took a bow and a quiver of arrows. This was a long-range weapon. Though its attack power wasn't high, it was relatively safe. At the same time, the system panel showed the bow's attributes. Rosewood bow, quality D damage, 10 to 20, special effect, none durability, 100, 100. The teacher looked at him and said meaningfully, "The cautious live longer." After a while, the female teacher wiped the sweat from her forehead and sighed in relief. Finally, the weapons are all distributed. Among these people, only 3 have awakened A-rank talents or higher. It's really getting worse than the previous batch. Over here, the new students excitedly ran into the forest shouting, "Watch your daddy go on a killing spree." Meanwhile, Zhang Ze was practicing shooting arrows at a target, unaware that he had caught the teacher's eye. Zhang Ze looked at the arrows he shot. Only one hit the bullseye. This bow was harder to control than he imagined. After shooting so many arrows, only one hit the bullseye. In a real battle, he wouldn't have so many chances to make mistakes. Right now, he didn't even have a single summoned creature. He absolutely couldn't be reckless. He had to improve his archery skills first, then find an opportunity to act and summon his first demonic beast. After a long time, the number of arrows he had shot was countless. Zhang Ze's eyes were fixed ahead. His back straight, his eyes on the bullseye. He then drew the bowstring and shot an arrow straight at the bullseye. The arrow flew like a flash and hit the center. Seeing this, Zhang Ze breathed a sigh of relief. At the same time, the system showed proficiency level 4, accuracy 80%. On Zhang Ze's hand, the blisters from practicing archery were clearly visible. When he felt it was good enough, Zhang Ze pulled up his face covering and stepped into the forest. 2 demonic beasts with fierce faces and glowing red eyes appeared. One had a flame-like mark on its forehead and golden eyes. The first-tier demon territory included various demonic beasts, the violent rabbit agile and good at dodging but with low defense, the lava turtle with high defense and thick health but extremely slow, and the dark shadow wolf, the boss of the first-tier demonic beasts agile with high attack power, and the skill shadow rend, which could create 5 consecutive attacks on a target, adding burning and bleeding effects. At that moment, 2 new students were being chased and attacked by a lava turtle, causing them to panic and cry for help. The lava turtle fiercely pursued the 2 new students, scaring them pale as they screamed. It then stomped on the ground, causing the 2 students to lose their balance and be thrown aside. The lava turtle roared, raised its leg, and prepared to stomp the student to death, who hurriedly put his hands up to defend himself. Before it could crush him, an arrow shot from somewhere but bounced off. Zhang Ze, seeing this, waved his hand to attract the lava turtle's attention. "Hey, cute little turtle, let's play a game." It glared at Zhang Ze, receiving such a loving gaze. Sweat poured down his face like rain. In times like these, silence was golden. A second later, the lava turtle relentlessly hunted him, determined to catch him. Wherever they chased, dust billowed. Zhang Ze ran forward in fear, screaming as he ran. After running for a long time, Zhang Ze was approaching the altar. He sped up, luring the lava turtle closer to the altar. Sensing the demonic beast's approach, the altar immediately shot out a bolt of lightning, striking the lava turtle hard. Seeing it weakened, Zhang Ze immediately shot 3 arrows straight into its back, draining its health. The lava turtle then began to dissipate into small pieces. The system displayed that Zhang Ze had received a low-grade Power Demon Soul Orb. Zhang Ze wiped the sweat from his forehead, looked at the Demon Soul Orb in his hand, and thought to himself that using the altar's magic barrier was indeed the right choice. The system displayed a guide for the demon territory. After a demon territory monster dies, it will randomly drop a Demon Soul Orb. The quality of the orb is divided into low, medium, and high grades. Orbs of different colors have different attributes: red for strength, green for stamina, blue for spirit, and yellow for agility. Absorbing these orbs grants corresponding attributes. Zhang Ze had killed a lava turtle. Now he could summon a replica. The system asked if he wanted to summon it. Zhang Ze said loudly, "Summon." Then a huge surge of energy appeared in front of him, and a lava turtle emerged from it, letting out a loud roar. Seeing this, Zhang Ze couldn't help but laugh happily. He reached out and touched its face, playing joyfully with the lava turtle. "This is my first summoned beast." Scene change. Over here, a group of people was fighting a violent rabbit. One person, who was previously attacked in the face, was now on the ground, crying in pain. The other 2 were tense and ready to receive its attack at any moment. There was a rustling sound. They realized someone was approaching from behind. When they turned around, they suddenly screamed, "We're doomed! There's a lava turtle behind us. We're dead either way." The young man with the bloody nose stood up, ready for a fight to the death. But what surprised them even more was that someone was sitting on the lava turtle's back. Zhang Ze, riding the turtle, was grinning smugly and greeted them loudly. "Hello, bros." The 3 people below didn't understand what the hell was happening. Normally, monsters in the demon territory would attack on sight, but why wasn't that turtle attacking Zhang Ze? It was truly a bizarre sight. If that was the case, could monsters in the demon territory be tamed? The person standing next to them was extremely impressed, but the one who had just been beaten said there was nothing to be admired. He then had the idea of trying to tame the menacing violent rabbit behind them. If he succeeded, the rabbit would carry them out of here. Truly a case of overestimating one's abilities, stupid and yet still wanting to show off. As soon as he finished speaking, the rabbit gave him another slap, knocking out several of his teeth. Seeing their brother-in-arms get his teeth knocked out by the rabbit, the other two rushed to fight it, each using their own skills to try and take it down. Suddenly the rabbit stood still, and then began to gather power, entering a berserk state. Seeing this, the three of them screamed in terror. "We're screwed! What kind of rabbit is so violent?" One of the three seemed calmer and said to the other two, "Don't be afraid, the rabbit is low on health. If the three of us attack together, we can definitely finish it." But unfortunately 2 more rabbits arrived. Seeing so many rabbits, all 3 of them turned pale. In another place nearby, Zhang Ze was riding the turtle for a stroll, marveling at the sunset on the Great Plains. It was so beautiful it could calm one's soul. While enjoying the sunset, Zhang Ze suddenly heard desperate cries for help. The 3 young men from before, faces pale, ran past Zhang Ze at full speed, even reminding him, "Turtle big, bro, don't just stand there, run." Zhang Ze turned to look behind him, and the sight of 3 violent rabbits' faces sent his soul into a frenzy, screaming in chaos. Before he could even react, the berserk rabbit was in front of him, lunging to attack. Zhang Ze dodged while ordering the turtle to use its tail to attack the rabbits. The turtle whipped its tail, causing the 3 rabbits to lose a significant amount of health. Seeing this, Zhang Ze was shocked. His own damage was less than his summoned beasts. But then the turtle lost the upper hand and was attacked by the 3 rabbits in return. Zhang Ze was terrified. The turtle was too slow. Even with high defense, it couldn't withstand the simultaneous attack of these 3 rabbits. He had to quickly find a way to distract them. The provoked turtle whipped its tail again. This time the 3 rabbits lost more health than in the previous attack. Seeing his chance, Zhang Ze took out his bow and sent one of them to meet its maker, followed by the second one. After shooting, Zhang Ze didn't forget to praise his little turtle. At that moment, the berserk rabbit flew up and hit the turtle on the head, a rather painful blow. Seeing this, Zhang Ze cursed the misbehaving rabbit. He vowed not to let his first summoned beast die like this. After speaking, he shot his bow at it, but the damage was pathetically low, barely scratching it. He shouted loudly for the turtle chewing on the rabbit's ear in the distance to return to the summon, or it would surely die. Just then, the turtle leveled up to level 2, whipping its tail and killing the violent rabbit instantly. Zhang Ze held 3 crystal cores and happily celebrated his victory. A notification appeared. 3 violent rabbits killed, 3 replicas can now be summoned. The system asked if he wanted to summon them. Without hesitation, Zhang Ze shouted, "Summon!" 3 rabbits were summoned. Seeing them, he smiled with glee, because he now had 4 summoned beasts. Suddenly, a message came from the class group. The teacher requested all students to immediately return and gather at the altar. Because they had an important announcement. Seeing the notification, he wondered what was so urgent. After everyone had gathered at the altar, a teacher stood up to speak. "Fellow students, how do you feel about the first floor of the demon territory? After so many days of training, I believe none of you have any problems, right?" He warned that the first floor boss, the Dark Shadow Wolf, was not something they could face. Therefore, the school had specially invited a demon territory powerhouse. She would lead them to fight the first boss, the Dark Shadow Wolf, and open the gate to the second floor. Liu Yueying then stood up and briefly introduced herself. Her name in the demon territory was Yueying. Someone below recognized her as the senior from last year who awakened an S-rank talent and was recommended to Qing University Martial Art Academy. Yueying continued saying she hoped they would not underestimate the first floor boss because it was harder to deal with than they thought. "If you go with me, you must all follow my commands. If you act on your own, you will bear the consequences." Yueying then invited everyone to join her team. Zhang Ze saw her attribute panel appear, but the important information was all hidden. He wondered which was stronger, her or his summoned beast. If he could take this opportunity to subdue the Dark Shadow Wolf, that would be great. At this time, the bright sun shone in the dense forest. Yueying was leading the newcomers deep into the woods. Zhang Ze thought to himself, "I'm currently hiding my strength, so I can't summon my beasts, or it will scare them." Just then, 2 violent rabbits jumped out from the bushes, and a lava turtle also ran over, letting out a growl. A girl saw this and urged everyone to fight together. Yueying grabbed the hilt of her sword and then acted. She moved gracefully and slew the demonic beast, blocking their path. 2 male students in the team saw this and were horrified. She had killed the monsters with just 1 sword strike, as expected of a powerhouse who awakened an S-rank talent. Yueying turned her head to look at them. "Stop talking nonsense and let's keep going." Zhang Ze saw this and thought to himself, "She's indeed powerful. It seems trying to steal the boss from her is impossible." They walked from morning until late at night. A wolf stood on a high cliff howling at the moon. A male student in the newcomer team saw this and shouted, "It's the Dark Shadow Wolf's howl. We're here." At that moment, a strange portal appeared in front of them, and Yueying turned her head to one side and warned, "This is a level-up gate, which means the Dark Shadow Wolf is about to appear. If you don't want to die, keep a safe distance and do not attack it without permission." Immediately after, a wolf's paw emerged from the portal. At the same time, the portal erupted with a dark energy, causing Yueying's cloak to flutter wildly. The others used their hands to shield their faces. Then a large, ferocious Dark Shadow Wolf stepped out of the portal, accompanied by a mist that obscured their vision. The mist was too thick, making it impossible for them to see where the Dark Shadow Wolf was. Yueying gripped her sword tightly, her concentration at its peak. At the same time, the wolf played a trick, running around her at an extremely fast speed. Then in a flash, it darted behind Yueying, baring its sharp teeth to attack her, but she had already sensed its presence. She then leaned to the side to dodge. If she had been a fraction of a second off, the wolf's face would have landed right on her thigh. Without any fear, Yueying with a cool demeanor swung her sword behind her back, at the same time turned back. and unleashed countless slashes towards the Dark Shadow Wolf, creating a golden energy trajectory, successfully sending the wolf to its doom. Immediately after, the wolf's corpse began to dissipate into fragments, and the mist gradually cleared. The newcomers who saw this were overjoyed, continuously cheering for Yue Ying's incredible skill. The boss had been defeated. The person standing at the front, who had a full HD view, realized it was Yue Ying's S-rank talent skill, Slash of Light. Zhang Ze heard this and felt very suspicious. At this moment, the system displayed the information panel for the Slash of Light skill. Slash a designated target once each slash doubles the damage, and the final doubled slash will trigger a critical strike dealing massive damage. Level 1 Slash of Light deals 3 consecutive slashes to the target. Level 2 Slash of Light deals 5 consecutive slashes. Yue Ying held a demon soul orb in her hand and said, "We have all received the key to the first floor." Then Yue Ying raised her hand and pressed the close button on the system's control panel. The system displayed a notification, after which Yue Ying crossed her arms and urged everyone to quickly pass through the first floor portal because the boss would respawn in an hour and her mission was complete. She now had to return to the 5th floor to kill a boss. Suddenly, something made the girl in the white dress feel surprised, and she reminded Yue Ying, "There's something behind you." Hearing this, she immediately turned to look at the portal. The portal was now starting to change. Yue Ying saw this and realized it was a sign of a new boss. She felt very confused. How can this be? It hasn't even been an hour. The portal erupted with powerful energy spreading all around. Yue Ying saw this and couldn't help but feel scared. No, this killing intent is different from usual. At this moment, a large, ferocious, dark shadow wolf stepped out of the portal. Its face was filled with ferocity, and its eyes radiated an evil aura. It was an elite dark shadow wolf. Knowing it was an elite wolf, everyone panicked. How could they possibly deal with an elite wolf? Someone else comforted everyone. "Don't be afraid, we have Yue Ying here." But they didn't know that even Yue Ying was worried to death. Yue Ying shouted at them to run, as they would only be a hindrance to her here. Seeing Yue Ying's attitude, they worriedly asked if she would be okay, because this was an elite boss after all. Of course, Yue Ying knew its power, and was very worried as an elite boss's strength could be equal to 5 normal bosses. Although it wouldn't be easy to deal with, it was only a first-floor boss, so she thought she could handle it. She planned to first lure it away to let the new students escape, then figure things out. The boss started to charge and attack Yue Ying. She dodged its attack, and retaliated with a series of slashes, but the damage was minimal. She wondered just how high the defense of this elite boss was. While thinking, it continued to charge, and then changed direction to attack. Due to the surprise attack, Yue Ying couldn't dodge its attack in time. The attack was quite heavy, and the system immediately notified her that she was bleeding. Every 10 seconds, she would lose 1% of her health. If she didn't stop the bleeding in time, she would die. Seeing this, Yue Ying was angry, but didn't know what to do. The wolf's speed was too fast. Although she had tried to dodge, she still got scratched. But the more difficult it became, the more determined she was not to lose to a wolf. Thinking this, she continued to attack with her skill, but the wolf also quickly dodged. The two continued to fight, neither giving an inch. Zhang Ze, who was running, turned back and wondered how things were over there. His running companion urged him, "Hey, don't just stand there, run." But now, Zhang Ze had other ideas. An elite dark shadow wolf was so rare, it wasn't something you could encounter every day. While thinking, a few more people ran past, cursing him as a fool who didn't value his life. Over here, Yue Ying was being beaten mercilessly by the dark shadow wolf. She clutched her wound and thought, "I can't believe a first-floor boss is this strong. I've been fighting like a beast all this time, and it still has half its health." Seeing that Yue Ying was tired, it took the opportunity to attack again. Yue Ying tried her best to dodge and began to charge in to use Slash of Light. However, she had lost too much blood, which weakened her stamina, so she couldn't use the skill anymore. The dark shadow wolf stared at Yue Ying for a moment, then leonged at a lightning-fast speed. It scratched her multiple times, causing her to fall to the ground, just as she had given up and accepted her fate. A series of arrows attacked the boss, forcing it to retreat. Zhang Ze used a taunting skill to lure the wolf towards him. Witnessing this scene, Yue Ying was startled, remembering that he was one of the first-year students. Why hadn't he run away yet? Yue Ying was lying on the ground, waiting for a prince to carry her away for treatment, while he was over there taunting the wolf. Yue Ying was worried and shouted at him not to play with the wolf. But his passion was hard to give up. Zhang Ze ran around the forest, and after just a little taunting, it chased him until he was about to run out of breath. While running, he thought, "This elite boss still has half its health. If I rush in now, I'm just seeking death. But I've come this far. How can I not act? I can't die now. If I die, who will take care of my little sister? First, I need to lure it to a more open area so my summoned beasts have an advantage." But this wolf was too fast. Zhang Ze was about to run out of oxygen. The wolf was about to attack, but luckily he just reached an open space. Zhang Ze turned around and summoned his 4 underlings to block the wolf's attack. Yue Ying over here was drinking a healing potion. As she drank, she thought, "Is Zhang Ze gone? A newcomer like him wants to deal with an elite boss." She decided she had to go save Zhang Ze right away. Then she continued to bandage her wound with her mouth. First, she had to stop the bleeding quickly. She hoped that Zhang Ze could buy her some time. At that moment, a voice rang out, "Green bamboo blessing." The wooden staff in the person's hand radiated a green energy that enveloped Yue Ying, healing her. Yue Ying turned her head to one side and saw the little princess. "Little princess, why are you here?" The little princess smiled. It wasn't just her, their entire team was here. The man in black and the woman in purple criticized Yue Ying. "You're really crazy, daring to face an elite monster alone. Even if it's a first-floor elite boss, how could you fight it alone? Yue Ying bowed her head in embarrassment and apologized, as it was only the first floor. Behind them, another young man with a sign on his back asked Yue Ying, "Where is that elite boss?" At this moment, Yue Ying suddenly remembered Zhang Ze and frantically replied, "That's right, it was just led away by a newcomer. Let's quickly chase after him." The group was shocked to hear that a newcomer like Zhang Ze dared to lead a boss away. At this time, on Zhang Ze's side, he was commanding his summoned beasts to attack the boss. The lava turtle and 3 violent rabbits immediately charged towards the dark shadow wolf upon hearing the command. Then, the 3 violent rabbits continuously pummeled the elite wolf, while the lava turtle swung its tail, knocking the dark shadow wolf into a tree. Zhang Ze saw this and celebrated inwardly. Although the dark shadow wolf's speed was very fast, being surrounded and attacked by 3 violent rabbits would definitely affect its speed. The lava turtle's advantage could compensate for its weakness in speed, which was perfect. Being attacked so much, the boss began to counterattack. A powerful energy erupted from the dark shadow wolf's body. It stared at the 3 violent rabbits and the lava turtle with eyes full of killing intent, then charged and attacked them directly, creating energy trails around Zhang Ze's summoned beasts. Behind them, Zhang Ze saw this and immediately raised his bow in front of his face, a look of panic on his face. The damage is higher now. I have to let the summons take the hits and avoid being attacked directly. Suddenly, a rabbit transformed into an arrow and shot towards the dark shadow wolf. At the same time, the system announced that the violent rabbit's level had increased to 2. Zhang Ze was extremely surprised to see this. The violent rabbit leveled up. He said loudly, "Just like that, surround it. Lava turtle block the attacks and violent rabbits keep hitting it for me." The dark shadow wolf jumped into the air and used its claws to smash the lava turtle's head, causing it to cry out in pain. At this moment, the mist in the sky drifted away, obscuring the moonlight. After a period of fighting, the violent rabbit's health was depleted. At the same time, the system announced that the level 1 violent rabbit's health had reached 0, and it had died. Zhang Ze was stunned to see this. Before he could react, the dark shadow wolf pounced on another violent rabbit, killing it instantly. He was furious, gritting his teeth and cursing the damned wolf. It had been fighting for so long and still wasn't dead. It was fine, but he was exhausted. The violent rabbit jumped up and threw a punch at the dark shadow wolf, but it easily dodged. 2 seconds later, the lava turtle swung its tail fiercely and hit the boss, causing it to let out a tragic cry, and then it immediately died. At the same time, the system announced that the elite dark shadow wolf had been defeated. Zhang Ze panted heavily. Finally, the other 2 are also low on health. The dark shadow wolf dissipated, dropping 4 demon soul orbs and 2 pieces of equipment. The system announced 4 medium-grade demon soul orbs, 1 wolf fang necklace, and 1 wolf bone dagger. Zhang Ze was amazed to see this. As expected of an elite boss, it even dropped medium-grade demon soul orbs. Zhang Ze held the equipment in his hands. He could use the necklace, but although the dagger had high damage, he couldn't fight in close combat, so it was useless to him. He decided to sell it when he got home to get money for his sister's medical treatment. Zhang Ze patted the head of the only surviving violent rabbit. Although he had lost 2 summoned beasts, he revealed a triumphant smile. Because without sacrifice, how could you catch a wolf? He held out his hand and shouted the command, "Summon beast." As soon as he finished, a huge energy vortex appeared in front of Zhang Ze, radiating intense energy. Immediately after, a ferocious dark shadow wolf appeared from the energy vortex, its eyes shooting out 2 cold rays of light. The system announced, Dark Shadow Wolf level 1-5 experience, 100, HP 3000, damage 260 for 30 defense, 1500, skill, Shadow Rend. Zhang Ze was amazed when he saw the system panel. These stats were too terrifying. This was truly the strongest existence on the first floor. Zhang Ze put one hand on his hip and breathed a sigh of relief. "It's late. I have to go home. I still have to go to school tomorrow." Over here, the little princess waved her hand and said loudly that she had found it. They went to a pile of rubble where there were many claw marks from the Dark Shadow Wolf. They guessed that Zhang Ze had probably run here. They had already searched the surrounding area and found no other traces. The young man in Biliu touched the claw marks on the ground and sighed. This newcomer risked his life to save someone. He's quite brave. Yuying turned and walked away, saying she would go back to school tomorrow to find teacher Liu Wei. She guessed Zhang Ze must be his student. If he really died, the teacher would definitely know. But her heart was heavy. If Zhang Ze really died, it would all be her responsibility. That night, Zhang Ze sat on his bed and checked what he had collected today. He had to hurry to the online trading market to sell some of it. At this time, the system announced 61 low-grade demon soul orbs, 25 medium-grade demon soul orbs. Zhang Ze took out a demon soul orb from the system to try absorbing it. After he absorbed it, his whole body radiated red energy and his strength continuously increased. According to the guide, strengthening his power in the game would also strengthen his power in reality. Tomorrow, he would go to the martial arts hall to test it. The next morning, his little sister was preparing breakfast for him. When he came down, she was almost done. Zhang Ze scratched his head helplessly. "Didn't I tell you not to cook anymore? You're not listening." While brushing his teeth, Zhang Ze thought, "My sister's artificial kidney is starting to fail. I must earn more money." He wondered if he should tell them he had awakened an SSS-Rank talent. But after thinking it over, he still chose to hide his talent as the best option. His sister, not seeing him mention his talent upgrade, was a little worried. Seeing him come home so late yesterday, she thought maybe his talent awakening didn't go well. She then turned to remind Zhang Ze that the demon territory was so dangerous, maybe he shouldn't go anymore. She would find a way to earn the rent money. Zhang Ze was a bit surprised. "You have a way." "What way?" "It's a secret." After breakfast, Zhang Ze walked out of the house, put on his backpack, and didn't forget to remind his sister to study hard. He would take care of the money. As soon as Zhang Ze stepped into the classroom, he heard several male students sighing with gloomy faces about their talents. Zhang Ze opened the trading market on his phone. Demon soul orbs were indeed a hot selling item and had all been bought up. First he would withdraw the money. Today he would go to the demon territory to earn some more. He was happy that his sister's surgery money was almost enough. Teacher Liu Wei stood on the podium and sternly reminded the students to be quiet. At this moment, Yue Ying, wearing a youthful and beautiful outfit that revealed her perfect figure, stood on the podium. The students saw her and whispered among themselves. On the podium, Teacher Liu Wei said majestically, "Yesterday, while fighting the boss on the first floor, there was a small incident. I want to know who helped Yue Ying lead the boss away. She wants to thank this student in person." The students were a bit surprised to hear this, but Zhang Ze directly ignored it and continued to play on his phone, not wanting to reveal his identity. Seeing no one admit it, Liu Wei and Yue Ying went out of the classroom to talk. Teacher Liu Wei told Yue Ying that perhaps the person she was looking for was not in his class. Then she told him to let her know if he had any information. Inside the classroom, the students were discussing animatedly about the person who had helped Yue Ying by luring away the elite boss. Wang Yang pushed up his glasses and said with a smug smile to Zhang Ze, Hey, I know who that person is." Hearing this, Zhang Ze broke out in a cold sweat and asked who Wang Yang explained. After the boss appeared, everyone ran away except for one person who ran against the crowd, and I think his name is Rakshasa. Zhang Ze smiled awkwardly. That's not necessarily the case. Maybe he was just panicked and ran in the wrong direction, right? Wang Yang covered his mouth and whispered that yesterday, when he went to the demon territory to fight monsters, he met two interesting girls. Zhang Ze, seeing him rambling on quickly, replied that he had to go to the martial arts hall for his part-time job. Wang Yang heard this and sighed. "Does your sister need more money again?" "Don't worry, I can still manage." Wang Yang nodded and told him to find him if he went to the demon territory. His nickname was Handsome Fatty in Chinese. The school bell rang and the students rushed out of the classroom. A moment later, Zhang Ze arrived at the martial arts hall and began to clean up. He thought to himself that if he could earn a few more demon soul orbs, he wouldn't need to come here for a part-time job anymore. At this moment, a group of people were constantly praising Zheng Qing. He was indeed the strongest student of the 5th Academy. He actually managed to punch with 507 kilos of force, which was even higher than the requirement of Qing University Martial Art Academy. Moreover, he had awakened an A-rank talent, so his future was bright. Zheng Qing, while bandaging his injured hand, modestly said, "This is nothing. There are many stronger experts out there." A male student thought he was being too modest. Except for Liu Yue Ying from the upper grade, he was the most formidable. Zheng Hao was still very modest, saying he wouldn't dare compare himself to the goddess Yue Ying, the genius girl who awakened an S-rank talent and was directly recruited by Qing University Martial Art Academy. Zhang Ze heard this and thought to himself that she was indeed formidable. Then he punched the punching bag to test his strength. The screen showed the number 497. Seeing this, he couldn't help but be amazed. Just adding one attribute point had made him so much stronger. Before, his strongest punch was only 390 kilos. Now, after absorbing just one high-grade demon soul orb, he was already this strong. Tonight, he definitely had to go to the demon territory. Zhang Ze held his phone up to his eyes, looking at the message his sister had sent, telling him she was going to a classmate's house tonight and would be back late. He would have to handle dinner himself. At the same time, on the first floor of the demon territory, countless people were gathered near the altar. Zhang Ze looked at the system panel. There were still 7 empty summon slots. It wasn't time to rush to the second floor yet. The second floor was too dangerous. He would wait until he had collected 10 summoned beasts before proceeding. Then he held out his hands and began to summon the wolf boss and led it to hunt monsters. At this moment, a lava turtle opened its mouth wide and let out a roar. Zhang Ze and the wolf saw it and immediately attacked it together. The lava turtle attacked by him and the wolf cried out in pain. The violent rabbit couldn't escape its fate either and was easily killed by him and the wolf boss. Before long, he had collected a large number of monsters. Finally, it's enough. Now I can go to the second floor. At this moment, from a distance, someone shouted for help. Hiding behind a tree, he saw countless people running out of the portal in panic, their faces full of fear. Seeing this, he was very surprised. Isn't that Wang Yang? Wang Yang ran, like the wind, towards the front, screaming in terror. "Big bro, uncle, please don't kill us. We're really just newcomers, and we don't have anything valuable on us." The two people behind him burst out laughing. "Ha ha, we know you're newcomers and we don't care about the trash you have on you. But if we capture you brats to threaten your families in the real world for ransom, that's a different story." Zhang Ze hid behind a large tree and observed. Once your identity was exposed in the demon territory, you could be targeted by criminals kidnapped for ransom. At that point, reporting to the police would be of little use. Usually, even if the full ransom was paid, it was very difficult to get the person back, because to protect their identities, they would often choose to kill the victim to silence them. Wang Yang cried out, begging them to spare a poor wretch like him. The leader glared at him. "Weren't you just bragging to those 2 little girls that you drive a luxury car in the real world?" Then he used his skill. In an instant, a swamp appeared under the feet of Wang Yang and the 2 girls, emitting a red aura that terrified them. The leader pressed his axe against Wang Yang's neck and said to him, "If you want to live, give me your family's information." Wang Yang, seeing this, was scared to death, but he still kept his mouth shut. The leader looked down at Wang Yang's arm, a sinister smile on his face. Hey, they all say that, but after I chop off one of their hands, they all obediently give in. At this moment, Zhang Ze shot an arrow that pinned the leader's arm, causing him to grit his teeth in pain. He angrily turned around and roared, "Damn it! Who dares to sneak attack me? Who doesn't want to live daring to attack me?" From behind a bush, Zhang Ze, dressed in black, from head to toe, stepped out. He angrily cursed them as scum. One of the underlings immediately rushed towards him aggressively. Zhang Ze saw this and immediately turned and ran away. The leader and his gang, one by one, full of murderous intent, chased after Zhang Ze. Zhang Ze saw the towering mountain range ahead and thought to himself that he had been here before. The terrain was treacherous, surrounded by mountains with only one path to take. After a chase, they finally cornered Zhang Ze in a large valley. They taunted him. "Ha ha, run! Why aren't you running anymore? You walked right into a trap." The leader, with his hands behind his back, smiled sinisterly and instructed his men not to let him die too quickly. They had to torture him slowly. Killing him right away would be a waste. First, they had to get all his money. Zhang Ze, hearing this, was not afraid at all, his eyes fixed firmly ahead. The leader, holding an axe, slowly walked towards him. They weren't afraid of being discovered simply because killing people here, no one outside would know. Zhang Ze knelt down, his hands on the ground, looking at them with a cold gaze. "That's great, darlings, it's time to play." The next second, countless summoning circles appeared on the ground. From the circles, countless lava turtles and violent rabbits poured out, surrounding them. The leader, seeing this, panicked and wondered how he could summon so many demonic beasts. With so many monsters and the treacherous terrain, they decided it was better to run outside first. After speaking, the leader led his men and ran away. At this moment, a purple mist appeared in front of them, catching them off guard. In the mist, two cold eyes radiated killing intent. Then the dark shadow wolf stepped out of the mist, majestic and imposing. The leader and his subordinate next to him were so scared they gritted their teeth. They turned pale with fear because this was not an ordinary boss, but an elite boss. Zhang Ze from behind said coldly, "You just said that killing people here no one would know, right?" Zhang Ze, with a blank expression, raised his finger and made a cool gesture. They were so scared their limbs trembled, and they frantically ran forward. The dark shadow wolf opened its mouth, revealing its sharp teeth, and charged towards them, nimbly attacking them, causing them to be covered in blood and in great pain. The lava turtle used its tail to whip two of the underlings. The leader, before he could even recover, saw two enraged rabbits jump towards him. He screamed in terror. At this moment, the clouds that obscured the moon parted, and the moonlight shone down. Zhang Ze said coldly, "You reap what you sow." He picked up 3 demon soul orbs from the ground and thought to himself, "These guys have a lot of good stuff on them." The system displayed a notification item. Berserk Talisman Quality, C-Rank Damage 0. Effect within a 3-meter radius. Every target that enters will enter a berserk state for 100 days. Durability, 1/1. Zhang Ze saw this and sighed in admiration. This is truly a good item. It can be used as a trump card at a critical moment. Then he raised his head, puffed out his chest, and walked forward. A moment later, he arrived at the portal leading to the 2nd floor. Wang Yang and the 2 girls ran over, shouting, "Great hero, wait a minute, I knew you were still alive. Thank you so much for saving us." Wang Yang tightly held Zhang Ze's hand, crying, and saying that there were too few good people like him nowadays. He must repay him. Then he offered a price of 1 million and asked if it was enough. He waved his hand in refusal and said that he just didn't want to see those villains continue to harm people. Then he reminded them to be careful in the future. Zhang Ze waved his hand, stepped into the portal, and said, "See you later." Wang Yang and the 2 girls were moved and couldn't help but exclaim that he was their idol. The 2nd floor of the demon territory turned out to be a dungeon. In the square, many people were looking for teams, but Zhang Ze, of course, still chose the I alone am the honored one approach, taking on everything by himself. He looked through the list of monsters on this floor, which included poison spiders, blood-sucking bats, and the Devour Heaven frog boss. Each one was stronger than the ones on the 1st floor. Just after walking a short distance, Zhang Ze ran into a spider web, as big as his entire body. He jumped back in surprise, only to encounter a 10-eyed poison spider. Zhang Ze summoned a few of his underlings. 2 violent rabbits ferociously charged towards the poison spider. The poison spider opened its mouth and spat out, not saliva but silk, wrapping it around the rabbit. Then it shot out a green poison. The white rabbit, tainted by the green poison, its fur turned green. Not only that, its health was dropping non-stop. Although the poison damage wasn't high, its effect was lingering. Zhang Ze called out all his brothers to slaughter it. After a brawl, the poison spider ran out of health. But Zhang Ze had to sacrifice one of his violent rabbits. And this poison spider only dropped 2 low-grade demon soul orbs, a real loss. But anyway, he could now summon the poison spider. Trading a life for a life. Poison spider. Level 15, HP 300 damage, from 100 to 500. No skills, only nose defense. Its 2 stats were much higher than the rabbits and turtles. Zhang Ze continued to go deeper. For a long stretch, he only encountered 1 poison spider. Although the monsters on the 2nd floor were stronger, they seemed to be introverted. Just then, 2 glowing red eyes followed Zhang Ze from the darkness. Just as he let his guard down, 2 ferocious blood-sucking bats rushed out. Zhang Ze immediately summoned the dark shadow wolf, and the turtle as shields. Luckily, his summoning speed had increased. Otherwise, he would have been ambushed without knowing. "Brothers, let's all go up together." The blood-sucking bats charged and sucked the turtle's blood, making it squeal. Zhang Ze's other summoned monsters were also contributing their blood to them. The bats sucked blood while healing themselves, becoming more aggressive as they fought. Zhang Ze guessed the only way was to focus on killing them one by one, not letting them continuously suck blood. He summoned the poison spider to spit silk and poison at the bats, temporarily holding them in place. This poison damage could also counter the bats' lifesteal. giving Zhang Ze a chance to turn the tables. After that, Zhang Ze also managed to deal with the 2 blood-sucking bats. He sat down to meditate among his summoned beasts. Just 2 bats cost him several summons. It seemed only the strong could survive until the end, now including the 2 bats. Zhang Ze had 8 summoned beasts. He felt it was about enough and headed straight for the boss. Meanwhile, in a deep cave, several players were gathered frustrated. Are these guys crazy? Since when did the boss become public property, and then their property? We are constantly getting stronger to protect our homeland, and these guys can sell out our country for money. As soon as Zhang Ze arrived, he overheard the drama. Amidst the murmurs of discontent, a group of people walked out from where the boss was planted a stake and shouted loudly, "Everyone be quiet." The one who seemed to be the leader, money-earning superhero, stood there looking at Zhang Ze with a sneer. You really don't know your own strength. A mere archer dares to solo a boss. That's hilarious. Another one chimed in. What is he daring to steal the boss from our captain? The surrounding people added. Even if he manages to kill the boss, how can he get out of here? Money-earning superheroes group won't let it go. Meanwhile, he was having a very difficult time dodging the Devour Heaven Frog's attacks. While dodging, Zhang Ze used his summon to call out his monsters for defense. The blood-sucking bat poison spider and lava turtle immediately appeared and charged towards the Devour Heaven Frog. The appearance of many targets, though weak, was numerous, making the Devour Heaven Frog a bit confused. The onlookers were surprised and asked, "This guy can summon monsters." Money-earning superhero saw this and thought to himself, "Summoning skill? I've never seen anyone with this talent skill before." There were too many attacks, causing the Devour Heaven Frog to close its eyes and endure while the poison continuously attacked and injected poison into its body. The bat was sucking its blood from behind, causing its health to drop continuously. At that moment, Zhang Ze drew his bow and added a few more arrows to increase the damage. His arrows pierced its head, causing it to collapse. Its body turned green and evaporated before the astonished eyes of the witnesses. The system announced, "You have defeated the Devour Heaven Frog." He smiled happily. Meanwhile, money-earning superheroes' underlings were agape with shock. He really killed the boss. That's amazing. How can a newcomer do this? Zhang Ze walked towards the loot in front of him. He thought, as expected of a lord-level boss, it dropped so much stuff. As he was picking up the demon soul orbs, the members of money-earning superheroes' team walked up behind him. He walked right up behind him and said, "No wonder you dared to steal my boss, so you have a few tricks up your sleeve." Lao Sen money-earning superheroes' underling arrogantly said, "Hand over everything on you along with 10 gold bars and we'll call it even. Otherwise, don't even think about getting out of here alive." Zhang Ze was dissatisfied. "Dare to say I stole your monster? If you hadn't blocked the entrance, I could have killed it by myself." He thought, "These people are charging an unreasonable fee. I won't waste my breath on you." Just now, fighting the boss, a few blood-sucking bats and lava turtles died. The casualties were quite high, but I still have the iron-toothed wolf that hasn't fought yet. Dealing with them shouldn't be a problem. Money-earning superhero said, "Kid, your talent is quite interesting." He stared at him. "But to me, it's completely useless." As he finished speaking, he charged up a fire fist, jumped up and punched, knocking out the blood-sucking bat. It fell to the ground and gradually disappeared. The notification appeared, "Blood-sucking bat has died." Then he stomped on the bat. Zhang Ze was a bit angry but didn't know what to do after witnessing that strength. It didn't stop there, he sneered. "No matter how many you summon in front of an expert, they are like clay chickens and porcelain dogs." Zhang Ze frowned and glared at him. He thought, "I originally just wanted to kill the boss to get the key, but now I want to punch you guys in the face." Suddenly, someone ran over from a distance, raising a hand to stop them. "Wait a minute." He presented a badge and introduced himself. "I am a disciplinary officer from the Demon Territory Management Bureau. Don't you dare cause trouble." According to the system, his name was Natural Law is Vast. Zhang Ze looked at him and thought, a disciplinary officer. These people belong to the high-level management bureau, carefully investigating, collecting evidence, and trying cases of rule violations. Although their position is low, their power is great. It seems I don't need to act. Lao San, standing next to him, whispered, "Captain, if this guy exposes the matter of bribing Section Chief Zhang, it will be troublesome. Why don't we go all the way?" The disciplinary officer spoke up. "I have recorded all your actions and words. I will submit them to my superiors. I advise you to turn back now and immediately surrender to the management bureau." Money-earning superhero said nothing, just a slight smirk on his face. Then he stepped forward and threatened, "Unfortunately, you won't have that chance." Realizing something was wrong, Natural Law is Vast took a step back. "Are you trying to kill me to silence me?" At this moment, the two of them were surrounded by money-earning superheroes group. The disciplinary officer took out an ice staff and then said to Zhang Ze, "Don't be afraid, I will protect you." He added, "Your talent skill is very practical. I feel you have a great future. After we capture these people, I will introduce you to the leader." One of the group rushed forward, raising his sword to strike down, but the staff in the disciplinary officer's hand lit up. He then looked at him and unleashed Ice Ray. Immediately, the player was frozen and lost 275 health. Lao San realized this was an A-rank talent mage, but money-earning superhero seemed very confident. "Don't worry, that kind of talent skill has a 60-second cooldown, enough time for me to handle it." Then he ordered everyone charge. Lao San also responded, holding his mace and rushing towards the two of them, shouting, "Kill," as he moved. Holding 2 maces, he swung them to attack, but the disciplinary officer immediately ducked to dodge. Then he delivered a kick to his stomach, sending him flying backward and dropping his weapon. The disciplinary officer smiled confidently. "I am an outstanding graduate of the Martial Arts University. Do you look down on me as a weak scholar? My colleagues will be here soon. Money earning. Superhero seemed to ignore those threats. For him at this point, he had to see it through. The disciplinary officer pointed at him and continued, I demand that you surrender immediately. You cannot escape justice. Lao San smiled, surrender in your dreams. Then from his hand, he created a golden light that shot towards his big brother. Money earning. Superhero powered up energy flowing into his body. He turned to his underling and said, well done, Lao San. His entire body was now enveloped in a layer of golden mana. He stomped on the ground and rushed forward. He charged his fire fists, his hands ablaze, and then rushed towards the disciplinary officer at a very fast speed. The tip of the disciplinary officer's staff lit up, and he used Ice Ray again. But it had no effect, being deflected by money-earning superhero's sturdy body. That's the magic resistance talent, a B-rank talent skill. For 10 seconds, it will resist 100% of Lao San's effects. The disciplinary officer was shocked. How can this be? I can't believe it. Then he held out his hand towards Zhang Zhe and said, you run. This guy is hard to deal with. We can't fight him. Money-earning superhero rushed up, glaring at the two people in front of him. None of you will escape. Money-earning superhero threw a fire fist at the two of them and shouted, die. The disciplinary officer almost took the hit, raising his hand to cover his face. Then he closed his eyes tightly, not daring to look at the attack. A large lava turtle had appeared, using its hard shell to block the attack, which greatly surprised him. Next, the poison spider shot a web at money-earning superhero, forcing him to jump back to dodge the attack. At this moment, Zhang Zhe stood up in front and said confidently, disciplinary officer, leave it to me. He was surprised and asked, what you want to fight them? Both of his hands lit up as he replied, who said I would fight? The ones fighting them are these guys. As he finished speaking, a murderous aura emanated money, earning. Superhero's underlings wondered why there was so much fog all of a sudden. At this moment, the elite iron-toothed wolf appeared, its evil aura enveloping the entire cavern. Lao San's group was shocked. This is an iron-toothed wolf, and it's an elite one too. Not only was there an iron-toothed wolf behind him, but there was also a large familiar figure. It was the Devour Heaven Frog. Money-earning superhero was trying to tear apart the spider webs with his hands. Zhang Zhe stared at him, his eyes full of determination. He commanded, Heaven-swallowing frog, take the stage. The crowd was in an uproar. He can summon the Devour Heaven Frog too. They were dumbfounded, wondering what was going on. Why have the bosses of the first and second floors both appeared? It's clearly summoned by that guy. I can't believe there's such a perverted talent that can even summon bosses. Others also discussed, this is too overpowered, he can even summon bosses. I think this archer's talent must be A rank. Someone thought it must be S rank or higher. Lao San worriedly asked, Captain, what should we do now? That kid has summoned 2 big bosses. Money earning. Superhero replied, there's no turning back. He decided, I'll handle the demonic beast, you guys go deal with that guy. As soon as he finished speaking, he immediately jumped up and headed towards the boss to attack. The disciplinary officer reminded Zhang Zhe to be careful. He commanded heaven-swallowing frog iron-toothed wolf attack now. The 2 bosses immediately roared fiercely upon receiving the command, preparing to attack. The iron-toothed wolf charged in, clawing and tearing, but he was also very calm, parrying the attack. Using the momentum of the dodge, he jumped up and punched the Devour Heaven Frog in the face, causing it to lose 1/3 of its health. The power was terrifying, but it immediately spat fire in retaliation, pushing money-earning superhero back, forcing him to lean to one side, to dodge. Then he jumped up and continued to attack the Devour Heaven Frog again. At this point, it only had a tiny bit of health left. Money earning. Superhero smiled confidently. It's just killing a few more monsters. Zhang Zhe thought to himself, this guy is really formidable. He plans to deal with the Devour Heaven Frog first, then the iron-toothed wolf. The underlings in the distance were emboldened and laughed loudly. You think you can beat our captain? Lao San smiled smugly. How many times do you think we've killed the Devour Heaven Frog boss? You think you can win just by summoning a boss? The disciplinary officer thought to himself, this guy is terrifying. The Devour Heaven Frog's defense isn't high, it seems it won't last long. Zhang Zhe took something out of his pocket and said, looks like I have to show you my power. The thing he took out was a berserk talisman. The disciplinary officer recognized it. Then he threw the talisman at the iron-toothed wolf and ordered it to go on a rampage. The command talisman immediately stuck to and merged with the wolf. The berserk energy on the talisman gradually dissolved and entered its body. The iron-toothed wolf's entire body now radiated a deadly red aura. Its eyes glowed brightly like a predator hunting its prey. The killing intent officially entered a berserk state. It roared at money-earning superhero, its aura overwhelming him. He was a little scared. This wolf's killing intent is terrifying. The surrounding underlings recognized it was a berserk talisman. The boss is berserk. It's too dangerous. Fueled by a huge surge of power, the iron-toothed wolf approached and stared at its target, preparing to attack. Money earning. Superhero wondered, this is the berserk state. I haven't done anything to it. Why did it suddenly go berserk? Sensing danger, he hurriedly jumped towards his teammates. The iron-toothed wolf never took its eyes off him. As it jumped, it turned back to look at him, thinking, in this state, I have no chance of winning. It's better to save my life. But it wasn't that easy. Zhang Zhe spoke up. Want to run too late, buddy. In its berserk state, the iron-toothed wolf's speed was incredibly fast. With just 2 or 3 leaps, it had almost reached money-earning superhero. Then it unleashed its sharp claws at its target. Darkness enveloped the cave, sharp black slashes filling the space. Those were the claw attacks of the iron-toothed wolf striking money. Earning superhero's body, causing him to grimace and scream in pain. It continuously attacked and clawed at his vital points, leaving him no time to react. The speed was terrifying and its eyes were sharp. Lao San, watching from the outside, anxiously shouted, "Captain!" Being continuously attacked, money-earning superhero collapsed and knelt down to the astonishment of everyone. Then he muttered, "This little devil's strength is so great I underestimated him." His body gradually evaporated. The system announced, "Money-earning superhero has been eliminated." The surrounding underlings were terrified. "That guy is too powerful. The captain is dead, let's run." Lao San's face also turned purple. The group ran in chaos, but how could they escape the eyes of the berserk wolf? It was silently observing its prey. Then it rushed forward, and Lao San attacked with fatal blows. Zhang Ze stood there, not needing to say much, thinking, "Today, I will play you all to death." The disciplinary officer looked at him and remained silent, thinking, "This guy's talent is terrifying. Such a talent must be recruited to help the country, otherwise the consequences will be dire." Just as things were settled, several people rushed over shouting, "Natural law is vast, we're here." He was overjoyed. "Great, my people are here. Don't let anyone escape. Capture them all." The newcomers chased after and captured the remaining remnants of money-earning superheroes group. During this time, Zhang Ze was only interested in the loot. As expected, of a high-level adventurer, his assets are so much. The system announced that he had obtained 2 high-grade demon soul orbs, 18 medium-grade ones, and 77 low-grade ones, plus 2 health recovery potions, an invitation letter, and 3 pieces of equipment. There was a mysterious black and gold invitation letter hidden under the equipment. He picked it up, wondering what it was. The system displayed information: invitation letter quality C grants access to the death territory, can be used once. He wondered, what is the death territory? I don't remember this in the demon territory guide. Then he put it away. First, he had to absorb these high-grade demon soul orbs. As he was absorbing them, the disciplinary officer ran over and said, "Rakshasa brother, your performance just now was outstanding." He patted his shoulder and asked, "Are you interested in joining the Demon Territory Bureau to serve the country?" He bluntly replied, "Sorry, I have no plans for that. Natural law is vast," raised his hand and looked at him, pondering for a moment. Then he took out a pen and paper to write down some information, saying, "All right, to each his own, I won't force you. Here's my number. If you need anything, just contact me." Looking at the information in his hand, he replied, "Okay, I got it." Then he turned and prepared to enter the next floor. The disciplinary officer called out to him, "Rakshasa brother, there's one more thing." He reminded him, "I don't know how strong you will become in the future, but I hope you remember that the blood of the Dacia flows in your veins." He raised his hand and waved, "I know I am also a citizen of the Dacia." Then Zhang Ze quietly stepped into the portal to the 3rd floor. Amidst the vast mountains and forests, there was a teleportation array. This was the gathering place at the entrance of the 3rd floor. Zhang Ze observed the surroundings. This floor seemed to have fewer people than the previous one, and the demonic beasts were much stronger. If you weren't strong enough, you shouldn't risk your life. Then he opened the guide to see what monsters were on the 3rd floor. The monster list included goblin warriors and goblin mages. The demonic beasts on this floor weren't insects or beasts, but humanoid. This is interesting. He raised his hand to check the time and realized it was getting late, so he decided to go home. He quickly left the demon territory. Zhang Ze returned to the house of the 2 siblings. Seeing it was dark, he walked into the living room and wondered, why is it so dark? Why hasn't anyone turned on the lights? He went to his sister's room, knocked on the door, and called out, "Xiaofeng, are you asleep?" But after calling several times, there was no answer. Zhang Ze was a little worried. He opened the door and said, "I'm coming in." The room was empty. Zhang Ze was a bit confused. Why is she not back yet? It's so late. He took out his phone. Maybe something happened. I should try calling her. It was already past 11:30. The screen showed 15 missed calls. He immediately called back, full of worry. Zhang Ze asked, "Hello, Fenfen. This is Xiaofeng's brother." Immediately, the other end of the line shouted, "Why did you just answer the phone? Hurry to Yunding Kliub." Realizing something was wrong, he anxiously asked, "What happened to Xiaofeng?" Zhang Ze rushed to Yunding Kliub. This was the most luxurious night Kliub in Tianfeng. What is she doing here? Seeing him rushing over, a security guard immediately stopped him. The 2 security guards in black suits asked him, "Hey, you, what are you doing here?" Extremely worried about his sister's safety, Zhang Ze was somewhat angry. Could she be working here? Is this the way she mentioned? No matter who dares to touch her, I will absolutely not let them off. He rushed past the security guards, giving each one a blow to the stomach, causing them to vomit blood. He ran straight inside. The 2 men in suits lay collapsed there. Zhang Ze ran up, preparing to open the door and rush into the night Kliub. A fat, arrogant man was scolding, "I gave you face and you're still shameless. I asked you to have a drink with young Master Chen and you're so ungrateful." The man held out a bank card, a cigarette dangling from his mouth, and said with a smile, "This card has 10,000 yuan in it. Come here and serve him. You're already working here, why pretend to be a pure and innocent maiden? It's disgusting." Then he threw the card in front of Xiaofeng. Her friend Fenfen stepped forward with a smile, trying to mediate. "Honored guest, my friend doesn't know how to drink. How about I drink for her?" The fat man pushed Fenfen away, causing her to fall, and scolded her. "Who do you think you are? What young Master Chen wants is her." He pointed at Xiaofeng's face and scolded, "I'm telling you today you have to entertain this honored guest." The weak girl, intimidated, trembled with fear, tears streaming down her face. Just then, a dark figure stepped in from the door, drawing everyone's attention. Zhang Ze, with a clenched fist, said, "Honored guest, I don't care what kind of guest you are. If you dare to touch a single hair on my sister's head, I'll break your leg." Seeing her brother arrive, Xiaofeng softly called out, "Brother," the bodyguard behind him arrogantly said, "You brat daring to cause trouble with the Tianxing organization. You want to die." Hearing the name of the group, Fen was shocked. Could this be Wu Tiancheng? This is big trouble. He has a lot of power in Jiangbei. Many demon territory powerhouses, both black and white, have connections with him. Without thinking much, Zhang Ze bent down and picked up the card. Seeing this, the fat man smiled smugly. "That's more like it. It's better to be obedient, isn't it?" Holding the card in his hand, he replied, "You think this card is enough to touch my sister?" Then he threw the card straight at him calmly, saying, "You're thinking too much, old man." The card flew straight at his face like a dart, his face twisted in fear. Immediately, the young man who had been sitting on the chair and hadn't said anything jumped in front of the fat man. Then he reached out and caught the card with extremely fast speed. A young man with blonde hair, looking quite young, stood in front of Tiancheng. He smiled, looking very calm. Even Zhang Ze had to admit his speed was very fast. The fat man, emboldened, pointed at him and ordered, "Someone beat him up for me. Beat him to death." Upon receiving the order, the two bodyguards quickly jumped up and rushed to attack Zhang Ze. At the same time, a woman's voice shouted for them to stop. A woman in a maroon cheongsam stepped out with beautiful features and a commanding presence, saying, "Daring to cause trouble in my Yunding Club. You want to die." Fen saw her and exclaimed, "Sister Jiang." She walked over with a smile. "Oh, I thought it was someone else. It turns out to be Boss Wu. What brings you to my Yunding Club?" In her heart, she thought, "This guy is not a good person, but I should still give him some face." Emboldened, the fat man stepped forward arrogantly. "Sister Jiang, your girls here have too many rules. My friend and I are not having any fun." Sister Jiang humbly replied, "Boss, Wu, you're a magnanimous person. Why bother with a child? How about we let it go?" Hearing this, he immediately shouted at her, "Let it go. Are you on drugs? Let it go. I think it's time for Tianfeng City to have a new owner." Sister Jiang gently raised her hand and smiled lightly. "Boss Wu, you're always welcome to visit Tianfeng. But if you want to cause trouble here, you'd better go back to your Jiangbei." The people playing in the nightclub all reacted, "What the hell is Jiangbei coming here to act all high and mighty? Sister Jiang is right. Bullying people too much. Little sister, don't be afraid. The law will deal with them." The fat man, Tiancheng, sneered at the crowd. "Just you guys. Without my money to train demon territory, powerhouses to fight against demonic beasts, could you have survived until today? Only true powerhouses deserve to live." He smiled sinisterly and pointed at Xiaofeng. "Today, I must take this girl away." Sister Jiang was a little unhappy and replied, "Is that so? Then don't blame me for not being polite." As she finished speaking, she immediately jumped up and kicked her long leg towards the fat man. In a flash, the young blonde man, young Master Chen, moved to block in front of him. Then he counterattacked, knocking Sister Jiang backward. He looked extremely calm, rubbing his neck. Wu Tiancheng laughed loudly. "Young Master Chen is indeed the only S-rank powerhouse in Jiangbei in the last 10 years. Sister Jiang lay there, glancing at him. The fat man smiled sinisterly and ordered, "Bring that little girl over here. Let's see who dares to stop me." The two tall bodyguards approached Xiaofeng, who was cowering in fear. One of them reached out to grab her, but immediately a figure flashed by and pulled her to the side. Zhang Ze added a knee to his face, shouting, "Get your filthy hands off my sister." Young Master Chen, seeing this, showed some excitement, raised his hand, and looked at him with an O. Zhang Ze stood there holding his sister in his arms and said, "I said it before, I won't show any mercy to anyone who touches my sister." Young Master Chen praised him, very fast speed. The fat man behind him added, "You're also a demon territory adventurer." Sister Jiang stood up still in some pain and reminded him, "Little brother, what is your agility attribute? How are you so fast?" On the other side, young Master Chen used his scrutinizing gaze, thinking, "My agility attribute is already 11. I didn't expect someone to be even faster than me." He slicked back his hair and said, "This is interesting. Let me formally introduce myself. I am Chen Feng, a final year student at Longhu High School in Jiangbei. What's your name?" He replied without any fear, 5th Senior High School of Tianfeng City, Zhang Ze. Hearing Zhang Ze's introduction, Chen Feng stepped forward. "I didn't expect you to be in the same grade as me." He held out his hand in a challenge. "What a coincidence, let's have a little match." Zhang Ze put his arm around his sister's shoulder and turned to walk away. "Sorry, I'm not very interested." The answer made Chen Feng's face darken. Suddenly, Zhang Ze realized something was flying towards him. He turned and kicked away a wine bottle, then shot a sharp glare at the troublemaker. Chen Feng raised his hand and said with a smile, "You found out your speed is indeed very fast. Without my permission, you two siblings won't be leaving here today." Sister Jiang stood behind and reminded him, "That guy's strength is very great, at least 800 kilograms. You have to be careful." Zhang Ze turned to remind Xiaofeng's sister, "Go over there and wait for me for a bit. After I deal with him, we'll go home." The two faced each other. Zhang Ze stepped forward, very serious. Chen Feng said, "In the entire Jiangbei school, there's only one person I didn't expect to meet you here today, by coincidence. What a lucky day." He smiled sinisterly. "I hope you can surprise me." As he finished speaking, he immediately stomped on the ground and leaped up, throwing a powerful punch straight at Zhang Ze. Sister Jiang, watching from the side, thought, "So Chen Feng has been hiding his strength all this time. His first punch has already reached 1,000 kilograms. But Zhang Ze simply leaned to the side, easily dodging. He thought to himself, "My advantage is speed. I have to win this quickly." Then Zhang Ze immediately used his own fist to counterattack. Chen Feng hurriedly raised his arm to block. He was pushed back a little and praised him. "Not bad, but that punch is still too light for me." Not giving him a chance to defend, Zhang Ze used his speed to move behind him to his and everyone else's astonishment. Chen Feng immediately turned his face and exclaimed, "So fast!" At the same time, his fist was flying towards his face. Chen Feng hurriedly raised his arm to block and exclaimed, "How can he be so fast?" Zhang Ze continued to move behind Chen Feng. He couldn't keep up with his speed at all, his face contorting as he thought, "Damn it, what is this guy's speed attribute? How can he be so fast?" The fat man Tiancheng was sweating bullets, anxiously thinking, "I didn't expect such a talent to be hidden in this small city of Tianfeng. I was careless." Not giving him a chance to defend, Zhang Ze threw a powerful punch into the middle of Chen Feng's back, causing him to scream in pain. Fen Fen was amazed and said to Xiaofeng, "Your brother is usually so gentle and warm, I didn't expect him to be so strong." The little girl smiled and replied, "My brother is just a little modest." Chen Feng was in some pain, but he immediately composed himself and turned to look at him. Zhang Ze also quickly jumped back 3 steps, keeping a distance from him. He clutched his painful arm and cursed under his breath. "Damn it." Zhang Ze smiled at him. "Chen Feng, your arm seems to be unable to lift anymore. Still want to fight?" He was still holding his arm that had just blocked the blow, showing pain. The atmosphere in the nightclub became quiet for a moment. Wu Tiancheng turned around in a panic. "Young Master Chen, a true hero doesn't suffer an immediate loss. We'll have another duel another day," he thought. "This is Tianfeng City. A master like this suddenly appeared. The best way now is to retreat first." Chen Feng was a bit angry, but couldn't do anything, so he said loudly, "Zhang Zi, I'll remember your face. In 3 months, it will be the national competition. After I get into Great Qing Martial Academy, I will definitely come and find you personally." Zhang Ze just smiled and replied, "What a coincidence, I also plan to apply to Great Qing Martial Academy. Maybe we'll become classmates." Chen Feng reacted violently. "Just you. Although your speed is quite fast, your strength, physique, and spirit don't meet the standards. I think if you really had the ability, you wouldn't have let your sister come to a place like this, right?" Zhang Ze smiled brightly, put his hand out and said, "You don't need to worry about my business. You should worry about your arm first, then come and find me at Great Qing Martial Academy." The 2 troublemakers from the countryside turned and walked towards the door. He didn't forget to turn back and challenge, "I don't know why you can be so confident." The people in the nightclub cheered, "Get out. You think you're so great with that little bit of dirty money trying to bully people from Tianfeng. Now you've slapped yourself in the face." Zhang Ze put his arm around his sister's shoulder and said, "It's getting late. Let's go home, Xiaofeng." They were about to leave when Sister Zhang spoke up to stop them. "Little brother, please wait," she continued. "Thank you so much for today's matter. If you don't mind, could you come upstairs for a little chat? I have a few words I want to say to you." Xiaofeng turned and said, "Sister Zhang is a good person." Hearing his sister say that, he turned back and agreed. In Sister Zhang's room, the 2 siblings were sitting on a chair while she walked towards them. Then she placed a check on the table and said, "Little brother Zhang Ze, here's $500,000. Consider it a small token of my appreciation." Faced with such a large sum of money, both siblings were extremely surprised. Zhang Ze then asked, "Although I'm short on money right now, I can't just casually accept your money like this." He thought to himself, 500,000 is enough to pay for my sister's hospital fees. Sister Zhang explained, "Little brother Zhang Zi, I'll be blunt. You saw it today, I have a feud with Wu Tiancheng of the Tianxing organization. Today, he brought that Chen Feng here clearly to cause trouble for me. This money is to ask for your help. If it weren't for you today, I would have been finished." Xiaofeng turned and pouted, "Brother, please help Sister Zhang." To please his sister Zhang, Ze replied, "All right, I'll take this money for now. As for that, Chen Feng, when they come to cause trouble again, I will definitely help." Sister Zhang immediately thanked him. The 2 siblings also stood up. Zhang Ze said, "No need to be so polite. If there's nothing else, we'll take our leave." Sister Zhang offered to have someone drive them home, but he refused. The 2 siblings walked out of the nightclub. Zhang Ze turned and said to his sister Xiaofeng, "You're not allowed to come to places like this anymore." The little girl obediently said, "I know I was wrong, but the salary here is really high." He seemed stern. "Even if it's higher, you can't do it." At this point, Xiaofeng seemed to realize she had said the wrong thing and quickly tried to cover it up. I know. Then she smiled, looking cute and trying to flatter him. "Brother, you looked so handsome when you were fighting today." Hearing that, he seemed to soften and said, "What's so handsome about it? Hurry home and go to sleep, you still have to go to school tomorrow morning." The next morning at Tianfeng Senior High School, Zhang Ze was opening the classroom door to go home when a voice called out to him. It was Wang Yang, who rushed over crying, "My good brother, you almost didn't get a chance to see me again. Yesterday I was almost tied up and captured." The kid cried, "If it weren't for the great hero Rakshasa saving me, I would probably have been torn to pieces by now." Zhang Ze tried to push the fat Yang's face away and said, "You're really lucky. Let's go. I still have to go home and cook for my sister." As he walked home, he thought, that fatty's memory is really good. In Wang Yang's eyes now, the great hero Rakshasa was a truly powerful person. He even wanted to become his disciple. While walking down the hallway, someone blocked Zhang Ze's path and greeted him. "Hello, classmate." He stepped forward and introduced himself. "I'm Zheng Hao. I want to ask you something. Yesterday, after school, did you go to the martial arts hall to clean?" Zhang Ze remembered he was the one who had awakened an A-rank talent. Could it be that he saw me when I was entering my stats into the force gauge? His face showed a little worry as he replied, "Yes, that was me." Zheng Hao seemed happy and stepped closer to him, asking further, Then did you see who used the force gauge at that time? Zhang Ze stuttered. Sorry, I didn't see. He thought for a moment, not saying anything more. Then he quickly turned and walked away. I still have something to do, I'll go first, he thought to himself. Fortunately, he hasn't found out yet. It seems I have to be more careful and meticulous. I definitely can't reveal my talent. Looking at the student walking away in a hurry, Zheng Hao was a little suspicious. Could it be him? His friend next to him said, Impossible. He's Zhang Ze from class A8. In the last preliminary test, he didn't even make it into the top 100 in the school. It's definitely not him. Zheng Hao crossed his arms and pondered. All right, then let's just wait for the global competition. The truth will be revealed then. While his sister was washing the dishes, Zhang Ze was watching the news. There was an announcement that a dangerous wanted criminal had recently fled to Tianfeng City, reminding citizens to be careful. Students without important matters should avoid going out at night. If they spot a suspicious person, they should immediately report it to the police. After watching, Zhang Ze reminded his sister, Xiaofeng, I'm going into the demon territory first. It's not safe outside recently. Remember to be good and stay at home. The little girl obediently agreed. Back on the third floor of the demon territory, Zhang Ze was currently looking at the information of his summoned monsters. Although he had acquired the Devour Heaven Frog, the casualties were heavy. The team now had 5 empty slots that needed to be filled quickly. His summoning roster currently had 5 empty slots. He opened the demon territory guide and saw goblin warriors and goblin mages. He thought I'll try fighting a battle first, then decide which goblin to add to the team. I wonder what the strength of the third floor monsters will be like. While he was still pondering and lost in thought, a cry for help echoed from a distance. A group of 3 people was surrounded by goblins. They were reminding each other to be careful, as the goblins' destructive power was very strong. Before they could even get their bearings, the person holding the shield in front had a look of horror. The goblin warrior charged through and sent his shield flying to the astonishment of everyone. At the same time, the goblin mage also launched magic stones, causing the 3 of them to continuously lose health and run for their lives. Observing from a tree, Zhang Zi noticed that the 3 were close combat fighters, but couldn't even defeat one goblin. It seemed both types of goblins were very strong. He summoned his beast. It's time for you guys to come out. Devour heaven. Frog show them. Upon receiving the command, it immediately gathered energy in its mouth, then jumped out and breathed fire on the goblin warrior, causing it to lose over 300 health. Next it was the lava turtle's turn. It used its large body to crush the goblin warrior, but the goblin immediately raised its shield. Its blocking ability combined with the shield helped it reduce a lot of the incoming damage. Zhang Ze was agape with shock. What, I can't believe it can still block. Seeing its comrade being attacked, the goblin mage immediately launched magic stones towards the lava turtle, causing it to take a lot of damage. He anxiously pulled down his face, covering and cursed. Damn it, this goblin's stone-throwing skill is too strong. Soon the lava turtle was defeated, collapsing and evaporating. Zhang Ze ordered heaven-swallowing frog switch targets and attacked the stone goblin first. Immediately, the Devour Heaven Frog spat fire at it. The goblin mage had no defense and could only stand there with wide eyes watching the flames rushing towards it. With just one hit, it lost over 400 health. It almost collapsed, with only a sliver of health left. Taking advantage of this, he summoned the iron-toothed wolf and ordered it to finish the target. Sensing danger, the goblin mage immediately turned and ran, leaving the goblin warrior behind. Zhang Ze was surprised. Why is it running away when it can't win? Seeing its comrade run away, the goblin warrior also looked very surprised. The goblin mage ran away enthusiastically, not even looking back. Zhang Zi summoned the violent rabbit and ordered it to chase. You want to run? Let's see who's faster, you or my violent rabbit. In the blink of an eye, the violent rabbit had almost caught up to the goblin mage. Over here, only the goblin warrior was left facing 2 bosses and Zhang Ze. He said, You're the only one left. Do you still want to resist? Get him. Upon receiving the order, the frog and wolf continuously attacked. Attacked by the bosses of the first and second floors, the goblin warrior continuously lost health and fell. Watching it gradually disappear before his eyes, he said, You're quite brave. It took 10 minutes to subdue you. Then he used his talent skill to summon it. Come here, little darling. Let me see how brave your stats are. Goblin warrior level 1, HP 450, attack 290, defense 300. Zhang Ze sighed in admiration. The attack power and defense are both very strong, as expected of a goblin from the 3rd floor of the demon territory. Although it doesn't have any skills, its stats are even stronger than a level 3, violent rabbit. He was still looking at the screen. Speaking of the violent rabbit. I remember now. Why has it been gone for so long and still not back? As he was wondering, a notification appeared. Your violent rabbit has died. Zhang Ze was extremely shocked. I don't know what happened. Why did my little rabbit die? From the bushes, some sounds were made, causing him to turn and wonder what the sound was. A large army of goblins was advancing, their footsteps thundering. They looked very aggressive, rushing towards him to attack. Zhang Ze was terrified. Damn it, that stone goblin has called all its comrades here. Then he ran for his life. Why are there so many? Is my summoned beast army going to be completely wiped out? It's better to recall them first. I have to run faster. Pursued by the goblin army, Zhang Ze quickly ran towards the waiting area of the 3rd floor. The lead goblin signaled for the horde to stop as they approached the altar area. Zhang Ze was probably safe inside. He turned around, panting, and looked at them. These guys even know not to get close to the altar. They're really smart. The people in the altar saw this and complained, Damn it, what did that guy do to attract so many goblins here? Did he seduce a goblin's wife or something? His taste is really strange. The goblins, seeing no more opportunities, turned back into the forest, not forgetting to give him a middle finger. They walked away, each one's face showing extreme anger. He sat down to rest and check the information. These goblins were truly cunning. They not only knew how to run away, but also brought a large army of reinforcements. The best way now was to not give them a chance to escape. But how could he do that? Suddenly his eyes lit up. It seemed he had found a method. Zhangze stood up, punched his fist into his palm, and shouted, "How could I have forgotten about it?" This startled the people around him. He stood on a tall tree, silently observing the goblins below. He gently hid behind large, ancient trees, not daring to show his face. Now, just seeing him, they would likely immediately call for people to attack. Zhangze thought to himself, "It seems whether it's long range or close combat, you guys have a fixed formation. This time, I'll open your eyes." Zhangze jumped out, summoned his monsters, and ordered Darlings advance and attack those goblins for me. As soon as they were summoned, the lava turtle and the newly captured goblin warrior immediately rushed up to attack. He also ordered the dark shadow wolf and the devour heaven frog to breathe fire and burn the goblin. The human wave tactic using numbers to overwhelm proved to be quite successful. The goblin continuously lost health, and then it was easily defeated. He didn't let them escape to call for reinforcements. This time they couldn't withstand it anymore. Besides, there was still a goblin standing there dazed. All of Zhangze's beasts turned to look at it. He smiled. "Now you're the only one left." The goblin mage now only had a sliver of health standing frozen. In front of it was a very ferocious, iron-toothed wolf. Knowing it couldn't win, it immediately turned and ran into the forest. Zhangze smiled smugly. "I knew you would run." Then he immediately summoned the poison spider and ordered it to use its web to attack. The spider web immediately wrapped around the goblin's leg, causing it to fall flat on its face. It looked up, and in front of it was a huge number of enemies. Zhangze smiled. "Didn't you know how to run? Brothers, finish it for me." The goblin trembled like a leaf in the wind, but had no way to resist. Then a tragic cry echoed through the goblin forest. After recruiting the goblin mage, he stood there and looked at its stats, sighing in admiration. This guy's long-range damage is really high, up to 330, almost equivalent to the dark shadow wolf. No wonder it hits so hard. I must summon a few more. Having decided, he raised his hand and ordered his beast's brothers charge. "We'll wipe out all these goblins." So using the same old tactic, hit and run, he continuously killed the goblins. The poison spider's web attack was indeed very effective. It seemed he had to use it more often in the future. Not to mention the long-range fire-breathing attack of the frog was also very formidable. Fighting also came with losses. Zhangze's level 3 lava turtle died. In return, he recruited more goblins to replace it. His army had been changed. He had 7 goblins, 1 poison spider, and 2 big bosses. Finally, the army was full. Zhangze raised his hand to his chin and thought, "This time I'll go see what the boss of the 3rd floor of the demon territory looks like," amidst the overlapping clouds and mountains in the dense forest. In front of him now was the headquarters of the goblin tribe on the 3rd floor. The large tent in the middle was the boss's residence. Zhangze stood on high and observed, "It seems the boss of this floor is much stronger than the previous ones on this floor. Besides the goblin king, boss, there are countless small goblins following him. If I want to fight one-on-one, it's a bit difficult." From behind, someone was recruiting. S-rank talent can lead newcomers to fight the boss. "If you want to go get on the bus, we'll leave when we have 100 people. Zhangze thought, relying on leading newcomers to fight bosses for a fee is really too much. Because there's no supervision here, it has created opportunities for those guys to profit illegally. Robbery and murder happen very often, but some people even lose their lives. Zhangze just turned a blind eye. Another scammer. Suddenly from behind, he raised his hand, waved, and called out to him. He smiled and said, "Interested in joining my team? We just need 5 more people to have a full team. The journey is free. The loot from killing the boss is all yours. We won't take anything." He turned to look at him, thinking, "This place is too crowded. I need to find a place with fewer people. With my summoning squad, I can advance step by step without any problem." Zhangze bluntly refused. "No need. I prefer to act alone." The people in the team whispered and criticized him. So brave, he was invited by a master but refused. He's not normal. He's looking for death. They decided to ignore him. His life or death has nothing to do with us. Standing behind a large tree, silently observing, Zhangze thought, "Not only are there few people here, but there are also very few enemies. I'll charge in from here." Thinking this, he reached behind his back, took an arrow, and summoned his monsters. Then he ordered them Darlings charge frog wolf goblin attack shoulder to shoulder. The devour heaven frog and the goblin mage used their long-range attacks, surprisingly targeting the goblin mage on the other side, causing its health to drop non-stop, easily killing it. As for close combat, the goblin warrior fought with great support from the iron-toothed wolf, which also helped the summoning army overwhelm from that direction. He quickly advanced into the inner area, heading towards the large tent in the middle. Outside, he left the iron-toothed wolf and the devour heaven frog to continue dealing with the rest. Holding the loot in his hand, he felt that this trip had indeed yielded quite a few demon soul orbs. Zhangze took out the guide and looked at the map displayed in front of him. The Goblin King boss was right inside here. He stood in front of the door with the goblin symbol from inside. A cry for help was heard. Zhangze also heard it and wondered, could it be that someone has already started fighting the boss? Inside the tent, people were running around in chaos with cries of, "Goblins are killing people," and calls for help. Behind them was a group of goblins led by a large and fierce boss. The goblin with a long beard and bloodthirsty eyes laughed and continuously attacked, finishing off the players. The remaining survivors were surrounded by goblins with almost no way out. The boss just stood there very calm. Observing the situation from the outside, Zhang Zi realized, aren't those the same people from before? What happened? The one in the purple cloak was also there, but now he wasn't helping them. Without waiting any longer, the goblin warriors jumped in and attacked the new demon territory players. The massacre had not yet stopped. The boss also started to charge in and attack the players. They were quickly defeated. The adventurers continuously fell and evaporated from the system, meaning their lives outside the demon territory were also gone. An entire team of nearly 100 people had been wiped out. From where they evaporated, demon soul orbs appeared. The goblin boss sat on its chair laughing loudly. At this moment, Zhang Zi had gradually understood the situation. That guy in the purple cloak was not a high-level S-rank talent. He was just the person responsible for leading the new players to their deaths. Then he would find an opportunity to collect the demon soul orbs and equipment. Zhang Zi slowly snuck in. He picked up a few demon soul orbs and looked at them in his hand, sighing at the sight of them. These low-level demon soul orbs were all obtained through the lives of those new players. That guy in the purple cloak was truly despicable. While lost in thought, he didn't notice his surroundings. Suddenly, a dagger flew towards him. It hit the demon soul orb in his hand and stuck right in front of him. At this moment, Zhang Zi realized, oh no, I've been discovered. The goblin boss noticed the intruder. It stood up, looked at him and growled. Then it shouted, a fool who doesn't know life from death. As soon as the great king boss finished speaking, the goblin warriors immediately charged towards Zhang Zi. But he also quickly jumped back and summoned his goblins. Then he ordered them to block the attacks of the surrounding enemies. A very surprising scene appeared. Goblins were attacking goblins. It was unknown which side would win. Meanwhile, the goblin boss sat there silently and observed. Zhang Zi also looked at it and said, as long as the goblin warriors can temporarily hold off these small monsters, I will have time to fight the boss alone. After speaking, he sent the poison spider into battle and used its web to attack, while he himself jumped to the side, drew his bow, and shot. The poison spider immediately spat silk and shot a web at the goblin king. Zhang Zi also summoned 2 more goblin warriors to help him fight the boss. At this moment, the boss roared, you're just a bunch of ants. Then it swung its 2 hands and broke the swords of the summoned goblins. With just one attack, it defeated one and the other was left on the brink of death with a sliver of health. Seeing this, Zhang Zi was extremely surprised. This is his whirlwind skill. Isn't this damage too terrifying? He knelt down, drew his bow, and ordered heaven-swallowing frog goblin mages and other long-range warriors focus your fire on the boss. Upon receiving the order, they all attacked at once. All kinds of skills, fire-breathing magic, stone-throwing, and even arrows were being shot. The deadly attacks were aimed straight at the goblin boss. It stood there and calmly waited. It was unknown what it would expect. The goblin boss roared, you ignorant fools, I sentence you to death. Then it held 2 large blades and swung them, neutralizing the long-range attacks. However, some attacks still caused it to take damage, losing a basic amount of health. Zhang Zi was surprised. I can't believe he can use dual blades to block. Except for the Devour Heaven Frog's fireballs, he blocked almost half of the other physical attacks. Immediately, a summoned goblin warrior appeared, raising its shield to block and neutralize those attacks. Zhang Zi focused and observed, thinking, this guy's attack and defense skills are both terrifying. The small monsters over there are also about to fall. What should I do? Should I retreat for now? Suddenly, a sword appeared out of nowhere with a black aura. It stabbed him in the side. At the same time, a voice rang out, die. The man in the purple cloak had now appeared in front of him. In his hand was a dagger, blood dripping from it. Zhang Zi lurched his stomach in pain and pointed at him, shouting, so it's you! He thought to himself, I forgot to pay attention to this death's kiss guy before, you despicable bastard. He licked the dagger in his hand and said, I didn't expect you to still be alive after taking a fatal blow like that. It seems your stats are quite excellent. My talent is invisibility. As long as I don't actively attack or take damage, I can always remain invisible. Isn't that cool? Zhang Zi grimaced and replied, your talent is very mediocre when used against monsters, but when used against other people, it's very top-notch. It seems you used it to deceive new players, right? He didn't hesitate to admit, that's right. If you hadn't come, I would have harvested a mountain of demon soul orbs, so now you must die. His situation now was not good at all. Behind him was the Goblin King boss, and in front of him was Death's Kiss. Zhang Zi was surrounded by enemies. Behind him, the Goblin King continuously attacked the summoned goblin warriors, causing them to evaporate one by one. Seeing the notification that his summoned monster had been killed by the goblin boss, his eyes showed worry and panic. He thought to himself, what should I do? Am I going to be defeated by this guy? No. I have to think of a way quickly. The man in the purple cloak stood there and said, what, still not giving up? Zhang Zi's remaining health bar now only had a sliver of health left. A spark of light flashed in his eyes. It seemed he had thought of a countermeasure to escape the encirclement. Zhang Zi immediately summoned the poison spider and ordered it to use its web to attack. The web aimed straight at Death's Kiss. By the time he realized it, his face showed fear and worry. He blurted out, I was careless, but it was too late. He was already tied up by the web on the floor. He scolded him, you think you can escape by tying me up with a web? The Goblin King's enemy is not me. He raised his hand to his mouth and signaled for him to shut up. Who said I wanted to run away? I have to stay here and wait to collect your corpse. He ordered his summoned beasts to gather, then recalled them into the monster space. Death's Kiss screamed in fear, you brat, are you crazy? Zhang Zi ran away, turned, and said to him, I'm not crazy. You're the one who's about to go crazy. I've recalled all my summoned monsters. Now I'm going to run out of the boss's range of activity. If it doesn't attack you, who will it attack? As expected, the large boss came up to him. The two blades in its hands were raised, ready to strike down. He was held by the web and couldn't move. He could only scream. I fell into this guy's trap. The goblin boss now had a deadly look in its eyes. Although it was a bit intelligent, it basically couldn't distinguish who its main enemy was. The blade slowly swung down. Death's Kiss hurriedly used a skill. He cursed Zhang Zhe. You brat, don't dream that your plan has succeeded. I still have the invisibility technique. The prey in front of it suddenly disappeared, leaving the Goblin King stunned and confused. He just sat there, not daring to move. You brat, I'll remember you. After I get out of this mess, I will definitely hunt you to the ends of the earth. The web's duration was 25 seconds. But at this moment, Zhang Zhe reappeared. He walked out in front of the Goblin King, which made it a little confused. Death's Kiss saw this and worried. What's going on? Why did that brat come back? What does he want to do? He held the bow in his hand, raised his hand to scratch his head, and smiled at him. Then he took out an arrow and aimed it at the boss, saying, As expected, you're hiding. Then let me give you a hand. As he finished speaking, he released the arrow. The arrow pierced his shoulder, causing him to fall backward and reveal himself screaming in pain. His body gradually became visible. He was shocked and exclaimed, I'm already invisible. How can that brat still see me? At this moment, the Goblin boss looked down at the target on the ground, while he clutched his chest and thought, This is it. The Goblin King opened its mouth and stared at Death's Kiss with a deadly gaze. Then it slashed its blade at his back, causing him extreme pain. His health continuously dropped. He collapsed, his hands on the ground, his whole body trembling. He muttered, Only 5 seconds left. I have to hold on for another 5 seconds. But it wasn't that easy. Another web was shot out, adding another 50 seconds of being tied up. He widened his eyes and roared, I hate this damn move of yours. I'll kill you. Zhang Zhe stood there and laughed loudly. I don't need to see you at all. I just need to see my web. He drew his bow and said, How does it feel to be tormented by the boss? Don't you usually witness many people being tormented to death? Now it's your turn. He aimed the arrow straight at his stomach, causing him to fall backward and scream in pain. Immediately after, the Goblin King slashed down again with its blade. Seeing the blade about to smash his face, Death's Kiss whined, Even if I die, I won't let you rest in peace. As soon as he finished speaking, the large blade had already slashed into his body, killing him. Watching his body slowly disappear, Zhang Zhe said, You brought this upon yourself. You deserve to die. Then he summoned his beasts again. Next, it's our turn. After Death's Kiss was defeated, it was now a confrontation between the two remaining forces. On one side was Zhang Zhe with his summoning army, and on the other was the Goblin King with his soldiers. But before they fought, he took the opportunity to collect the loot left by Death's Kiss. This guy has a lot of items. There are dozens of demon soul orbs, and a glove called White Silk Gauntlet that increases damage by 50. Zhang Zhe put it on and thought to himself, This equipment is good. An extra 50 damage. My attack stat has finally increased. Then he drew his bow and shot straight at the Goblin King standing in front of him. Boosted by the power-up, the arrow flew with much more force. However, when it hit the Goblin boss's head, the arrow was deflected, causing no damage at all. He smiled wryly. There's something wrong with my attack. It still doesn't do anything against its thick skin. Having been hit by a scratch, the Goblin boss flew into a rage and charged using Whirlwind Slash to attack the summoned goblins in front of it. It roared as it slashed down a bunch of insects. The summoned goblin warriors were hit, continuously losing health and evaporating one by one. The system announced the death of the level 1 goblins. They vanished right before his eyes. Zhang Zhe was now a little worried. The boss's Whirlwind Slash damage is too high, and it's an area of effect skill. It's too terrifying. I have to think of a way. It showed no signs of stopping and charged towards him, swinging its blade and shouting, You insects, all of you die. Immediately, he summoned the poison spider and ordered it to use its web to attack. The spider spat out a web, aiming straight at the Goblin King's leg, holding it tight. But the attack still came down. Zhang Zhe jumped back to dodge. The binding ability of the spider web seemed very strong. The blade that had just slashed down was also caught by the web, stuck and unable to be pulled out. Taking this opportunity, he recalled his close combat monsters and ordered his long-range attackers to prepare. When everything was in position, Zhang Zhe immediately gave the order to attack the Devour Heaven Frog, and the Goblin mages used their long-range attacks on the Goblin boss. The Devour Heaven Frog used its strongest fire-breathing attack. The Goblin mages used their magic stones, not missing a single shot. The Goblin King, unable to move, tried to raise its dual blades to block the magic stones. Zhang Zhe pulled down his face covering and smiled. Is this enough to deal with you? At this point, its entire body was covered in the huge flames of the Devour Heaven Frog. It could only block the stones, not the fire. Being burned, its health dropped non-stop. Now it was only at 9%. Zhang Zhe clutched his stomach, where he was wounded, and encouraged. Just a little more, we're almost there. Its health is only at 9%. Continuously using long-range attacks. While being tied up in one place, and the continuous long-range attacks aimed at it made the Goblin boss unable to resist. Suddenly a flame lit up in its eyes. The Devour Heaven Frog's finishing blow was aimed at it, causing everything around to explode. It roared in pain. Finally, its health reached 0%. It collapsed, and its body evaporated in front of him. The system displayed a notification. Congratulations, you have defeated the Goblin King. Along with it, demon soul orbs appeared. Zhang Zhe was now cheering and shouting with joy. Finally, we won. Suddenly, the boss's seat began to change, cracking into pieces and revealing a light. The rocks on the seat broke apart, revealing a spatial teleportation circle. Zhang Ze, while picking up the loot, looked at the portal and said, "No wonder I couldn't find the teleportation gate, so it was hidden in the boss's throne." Holding the Bilu Demon Soul Orb in his hand, he smiled as expected of a boss. It even dropped a high-grade Demon Soul Orb. Then he raised his hand and used his talent skill to summon the goblin boss he had just defeated. "Get up, don't just lie there." From the summoning circle, the boss's body slowly appeared. It was resurrected, but with a completely different status. Its body was intact, the two large blades on its back unchanged. Even its fierce red eyes remained the same, but its position was different. Zhang Ze looked at it with a friendly smile. The goblin boss knelt before its new master. He smiled and said to it, "You were really hard to beat. I sacrificed several of my summoned beasts." Zhang Ze patted its head smugly. "But from now on, you're my underling." Looking at his summoning list, he currently had 3 bosses: the Devour Heaven Frog, the Elite Iron-Toothed Wolf, and the Goblin King. Although the wolf's stats were the lowest among the 3 bosses, it was still an elite monster about to level up. There were still 5 empty slots. Later, he had to add 3 goblin warriors and 2 goblin mages, Zhang Ze thought. But now I should go to the 4th floor first, otherwise the boss will respawn soon. He rubbed his chin and said with a smile, "In the future, I can try summoning a few more bosses with a few goblin kings, then I'll be invincible." As he was about to step into the teleportation gate, someone approached and called out to him, "Hey, stop!" Then they rushed towards Zhang Ze, demanding that he drop his weapon and surrender immediately. In an instant, the group had surrounded him. Looking at the symbol on their chests, he realized it was the symbol of the Demon Territory Management Bureau. The number of people surrounding him now was too large, over a dozen. The one with curly hair and dual swords spoke up, asking, "Where are all the adventurers who joined your team?" Zhang Ze replied, "What are you talking about? I never formed a team. I think you've got the wrong person." He pointed his sword at him and continued, "Don't try to deny it. We received a report that someone was impersonating a high-level player leading a team to fight monsters for free to deceive newcomers. In 1 year, they have caused 3 incidents resulting in hundreds of deaths." The one with glasses holding a bow stepped forward and said, "We are the control team from the Demon Territory Management Bureau. Today you can't escape no matter where you run. Drop your weapon and come with us. If you dare to resist, you will bear the consequences." Then she drew her bow and said, "Don't even think about running through the stone gate to escape to the 4th floor. We have set up a net. If you don't drop your weapon, we will attack immediately." Zhang Ze looked at them and thought, the other side has more than 10 people. Looking at their equipment, they are clearly not ordinary adventurers. I'm not sure I can win if I resist. He then raised both hands in surrender. "It seems I have to go with them for a trip. Today is really unlucky." But just then, someone stepped forward and raised a hand to stop them. "Wait, that person is not a criminal." Zhang Ze recognized him. The familiar person exclaimed, "It's you." It turned out to be the disciplinary officer he had met before, on the 3rd floor. He waved and smiled at him. "Rakshasa, brother. What a coincidence we meet again." The people next to him immediately greeted him as manager. Hearing this, he raised his hand and pondered, "Manager, weren't you a disciplinary officer? When did you get promoted to manager?" The manager smiled and replied, "It's all thanks to you. Thanks to the case we solved together last time, the higher-ups made an exception and promoted me." He stepped forward and shook his hand. "I am now the manager of the control department. I have to thank Rakshasa for helping me that day." Zhang Ze waved it off. "You're too kind. It was a small matter. No need to thank me." The one with glasses turned and reported, "Sir, when we arrived, he was the only one here. If it's not him, who could it be?" The manager smiled and said to them, "Everyone listen to my analysis. First, Rakshasa is my friend. I believe he is not a criminal. Also, according to the description of the informant, the criminal who scammed new adventurers in the Demon Territory is Death's Kiss." After explaining to everyone, he turned and said to Zhang Ze, "By the way, Rakshasa, did you see Death's Kiss here? And the adventurers he just tricked?" He honestly shook his head. "You guys are late. All the new adventurers have met a terrible fate." Everyone around was extremely shocked. The manager exclaimed, "What they all met? A terrible fate. I can't believe it." He bit his nails in frustration. Another 100 lives lost. That Death's Kiss is truly too evil. I must catch him. Zhang Ze sighed. "I'm afraid you'll never find him." He raised both hands and closed his eyes. "Because I've already killed him." Everyone couldn't believe his answer and asked again. "What?" The one with glasses spoke up. According to the Bureau's records, Death's Kiss claimed to have an S-rank talent and was a high-level adventurer who had been in the Demon Territory for many years. His title was Master Assassin, a very formidable person. Seeing that everyone still seemed to disbelieve him, Zhang Ze raised his hand and swiped the system, saying, "Of course it's true. If you don't believe me, you can check my kill list." Sure enough, in his kill list, the name Death's Kiss was on the 2nd line. The kill list would record the names of the enemies that an adventurer had killed in the area. The one with glasses was shocked. He just cleared the 3rd floor and already managed to kill a high-level expert who was assessed as a master. The one with curly hair added, "And it was a one-on-one duel too. I can't believe it." The manager looked at him and asked, "Did you really kill him? How did you do it?" Everyone around was whispering and showing admiration for Zhang Ze's talent. They almost couldn't have done this before. They had to follow high-level players and gradually improve their strength to get to where they are today. The manager patted his shoulder and praised him happily. "Rakshasa, you've impressed me again. The younger generation is truly formidable. Thank you for eliminating a scourge for everyone." Zhang Ze smiled. "It's nothing, a small matter." Then he turned and headed towards the teleportation gate, saying, If there's nothing else, I'll go first. But the manager quickly stopped him. Wait a minute, Rakshasa. There's one more thing you should know. Death's Kiss was a member of an underground organization in the demon territory called Hope. The name sounds very righteous, but in reality, that organization is extremely evil. They kidnap, rob, and assassinate the demon territory. Management Bureau has always been investigating that organization, but because they cover their tracks so well and the members of the organization are very strong and cunning, we haven't made any progress yet. He added, since you've killed one of their people, the other side will very likely target you to ensure your safety. I suggest you join the Demon Territory Management Bureau. Zhangzi raised his hand and thought about the name Hope. Then he stepped into the teleportation gate to the 4th floor and waved his hand, saying, there's no need to join the Management Bureau. I'll remember the name of that organization. I'll be careful myself. Watching the talent walk away, the manager clenched his fist, a little regretful. But it also made him more determined. All right, one day, you will join the Demon Territory Management Bureau with us. On the 4th floor of the Demon Territory, the scenery was extremely desolate, completely different from the Liush forests of the 3rd floor. All the adventurers were gathered at the altar, a very strange sight. Zhangzi, having just arrived and not knowing anything, wondered, what's going on here? The crowd was in an uproar. On what grounds is the Demon Territory Management Bureau not letting us out? The Demon Territory belongs to everyone, yet they are arbitrarily blocking us. They wondered, what's this about a death territory appearing on the 4th floor? Only a crazy person would believe you. This must be some kind of conspiracy you're hiding from us. Zhangzi had a bit of a headache, wondering why is it the Demon Territory Management Bureau again? In the crowd, someone said, what's this about a death territory appearing on the 4th floor? Only a crazy person would believe you. He loudly proclaimed, it's all a conspiracy. I protest the monopoly of the 4th floor. Zhangzi stood in one place, silently observing and gathering information. He thought, a death territory. I have an invitation letter to the death territory in my bag. Could it be related to this? Just then, the person in charge of the 4th floor spoke up. The Demon Territory Management Bureau has always maintained and protected the stability of the Demon Territory. We will absolutely not be hostile to everyone. He began to explain, a death territory has really appeared on the 4th floor. Perhaps many people still don't know what a death territory is, because the Demon Territory Handbook has no records of it. Let me tell you. A death territory is actually another dimension. We are still not clear about the specific situation of this dimension. We only know that it contains extremely powerful and ferocious beasts. Moreover, it will appear randomly on a certain floor in the demon territory without any warning signs. The beasts inside are extremely bloodthirsty, and there are even demonic creatures in it. Furthermore, the difficulty of the 4th floor of the demon territory has suddenly increased to be on par with the 10th floor. That's why we are preventing everyone from entering the 4th floor, because it is too dangerous. I hope everyone can understand. The loudmouth still hadn't stopped shouting, on what basis? Should I believe you? I don't believe your nonsense. I want to go out. The person in charge replied, if you insist on going out, I can let you out, but you have to bear all the consequences yourself. Hearing that, the loudmouth from before spat on the ground and clicked his tongue. Then he was let out by the people from the Demon Territory Management Bureau. As he stepped out, he said in a challenging tone, so I'm out. You think I'm scared of you? He didn't forget to point at the person in charge and add, you think I'm really a coward? He closed his eyes as if not bothering to argue. The person in charge at this point could only sigh, watching a stubborn person run to his death. Then he turned and said to the crowd inside, if anyone else insists on going out, I will let them all out. At this point, the people inside were a little hesitant, asking each other if they should go out. They were still skeptical. Is there really a death territory? While they were still hesitating, a scream came from outside. It was the loudmouth from before running back. His body was mutating. As he ran towards the altar, he screamed, it's mutated. It's terrifying. He collapsed right in front of the magic barrier, saying, it's terrifying. The monsters have all mutated. They were frantically chasing and killing me. Luckily, I ran fast, or I would have died out there. His body trembled. People were whispering among themselves, I can't believe there really is a death territory. At this point, the person in charge spoke up. Do you all believe me now? I suggest that for the next few days you all do not log into the 4th floor of the demon territory. Wait for the death territory to disappear before coming to this floor. The adventurers were a little worried and disappointed. Can't log in for several days. Then what's the point of being here? Might as well log off and rest. Zhangzi witnessed everyone on the 4th floor logging out of the demon territory one by one. He also thought to himself, it's getting late. If I can't go out, then I should go home too. Luckily tomorrow is Saturday, so I don't have to go to school. Inside the demon territory on a certain floor, a giant beast stood there with a scythe in its hand. In front of it was a swordsman in a red cloak. Compared to it, he looked extremely small. The swordsman looked at it and smiled, then raised his hand to his sword, preparing to draw it. He stomped on the ground and rushed towards it. Then he drew his sword, and a series of sword techniques cut into the giant beast's body, all over looking very powerful. Among them was a sword chi aimed straight at its face. The monster slowly evaporated. The swordsman walked away lightly. The notification screen showed giant zombie has died. From the zombie's corpse, a very large demon soul orb dropped. The swordsman walked over and sheathed his sword. Then he raised his hand, picked up the demon soul orb, and then pressed the system notification. You have received a new notification. Do you want to view it? As soon as he clicked on it, a red screen appeared with the words, Death's Kiss has been defeated by Rakshasa. The swordsman raised his hand to his chin and said with a smile, Rakshasa. Interesting. Then this person drew his sword again, preparing to face another large monster. It was the boss of the 22nd floor. His strength seemed to be very great. The next morning at Zhang Ze's house, the two siblings were preparing breakfast. He said to his sister Xiaofeng, "Be good at home and do your homework. I'm going out for a bit." He picked up his phone and continued. Truong Fenfen said her cousin has a very suitable job for me. Xiaofeng was a little worried. Truong Fenfen's cousin. I heard his job is very dangerous. He walked out. The door turned his head and waved goodbye to his sister, reassuring her. "Don't worry, you know my abilities. Be good at home." Xiaofeng obediently agreed. In a dilapidated abandoned area of the city, Zhang Ze was heading to the meeting point. He scratched his head, confused, looking around but still couldn't find the person. He looked at his phone and wondered, where is Truong Fenfen? The address is clearly here. As he was dazed from a distance, Fenfen waved and called out, "Zhang Ze, big bro, over here." The young girl smiled, waved her hand brightly and called, "I'm over here." Then she opened the warehouse door and said, "My cousin is inside." He asked, "This place seems to have been abandoned for a long time." The two of them entered inside. 4 people were standing around a small table discussing. Fenfen spoke up, calling cousin, "This is brother Zhang Ze, the person I told you about." She turned and said to him, "Brother Zhang Ze, this is my cousin Liu Kai." Liu Kai looked very gentlemanly and held out his hand towards him. Fenfen said, "You have talent and also need money, right? Do you want to join my team?" Zhang Ze scratched his head in confusion. "I really want to find a job, but I still don't know what you guys do." Liu Kai sighed and replied, "We're going to the ruined zone." He was a little startled when he heard that the ruined zone. Liu Kai continued, "You probably know that many cities have collapsed and become desolate recently due to monster invasions. However, the ruined zone not only has monsters, but also many treasures like money antiques and valuable paintings. Many rich people have their eyes on these items and want to collect them. This job is very dangerous. If you're unlucky and encounter monsters, and because the National Security Bureau prohibits ordinary people from entering, what we're doing is illegal. But for money, we don't care about the danger." The 4 of them looked determined. From behind, a person named Tai Gang stepped forward and patted Liu Kai's shoulder, adding, "With great risk comes great reward. Kid, join us." Feng Ze in the red shirt also happily stepped forward and enticed 1 trip 300,000 each. "How about it, kid, join us?" Standing behind was Lao Ba, a bald young man who looked a bit rough. Zhang Ze thought to himself, that amount of money is not small. My sister's life is racing against time. The money earned from selling demon soul orbs and the 500,000 from sister Jiang Plius, another 300,000 will be enough for her kidney transplant. So he immediately agreed happily to join the team and go to the ruined zone. Liu Kai was overjoyed and put his arm around his shoulder, laughing loudly. "Great, you're brave, and there's more good news. This time the difficulty of the mission the boss gave us is very high, so the reward is doubled, a total of 3 million. The people in the team were now also happy. Everyone was excited to hear the number 3 million. Divided, each person would get 600,000. Zhang Ze asked, "What item are we looking for this time?" Liu Kai replied, "It's a calligraphy painting from the 5 Dynasties period." He added, "The location is the Jiangdong Museum. We meet at 4 a.m. tomorrow. Be on time, everyone." The next day, at the home of the 2 Truong siblings, Zhang Ze came down, yawning, and asked, "Xiaofeng, why are you up so early today? Aren't you afraid of getting tired?" The little girl smiled. "It's okay. I know you have to get up early, so I got up to make breakfast for you." He saw 2 red apples on the table. He asked where the apples came from and was told that the new neighbor next door gave them. Xiaofeng also praised the uncle for being approachable. Zhang Ze took a bite of bread and said, "Resources are especially scarce now, especially fresh vegetables and fruits. These 2 apples must have cost at least a few hundred. The new neighbor is really generous." He walked out, turned his head and told his sister, "You keep them and eat them. Next time, remember not to casually accept things from others." Xiaofeng obediently listened and said, "Be careful on your trip." He walked to the meeting point, still chewing on his bread. Zhang Ze thought, "This trip is very dangerous. Last night before bed, I absorbed all the remaining demon soul orbs. The system displayed information Rakshasa in the demon territory. Basically, all his attributes were higher than an ordinary person's, especially strength and agility, which Zhang Ze prioritized. His current strength was 14, with a punch force of about 10,000 kilograms and agility 15. If he encountered a pit demon monster, he could still fight. He still hoped everything would go smoothly and he wouldn't encounter any monsters. In front of him now was a city wall with devastation and ruin below. The word "forbidden" was written in large letters. The group of 4 led by Liu Kai was waiting there. Seeing him, they waved him over. Liu Kai gave Zhang Ze a chicken and said, "Take this, use it in case of emergency." He wondered what he would use the chicken for, and Liu Kai explained, "Pit demon monsters like to eat corpses. If you're targeted, just throw the chicken out for them to eat and then escape." He put the chicken in his bag. This was indeed the first time he had heard of this. From a distance, Feng Ze urged, "Don't dawdle, follow me." Zhang Ze held onto the rope with both hands. It started to rain. This was his first adventure. Then he stepped on the city wall and climbed over it to the ruined zone above. Everyone was waiting. After a while, Zhang Ze also managed to climb up. Before him and everyone else was the desolate and tragic scene of the ruined zone. Liu Kai patted his shoulder and said, "You are Fen Fen's friend. I hope nothing happens to you. Follow me and listen to my instructions. I guarantee you can return safely." Feng Ze, as always, charged ahead. Liu Kai followed behind, reminding everyone to move quickly as it was getting late. A team of 5 walked in the rain on the empty road of the dangerous area. "You have to risk it to get the biscuit." Lao Ba stepped forward and asked, "Big bro, after this, Let's find a chance to send that kid back. It's not convenient to have a burden with us. Liu Kai also agreed with that. In front of them now was a large building, but the front was blocked by rocks. This was the pickup point. Zhang Ze wondered, there's no entrance here. Liu Kai spoke up and asked Feng Zi if he had found it. He was climbing on the pile of rocks in front, looking for an entrance. He pulled away some wooden planks and a blue sign appeared. It was the exit with an arrow pointing to the right. He turned down and smiled, announcing, "Big bro, it's here." Liu Kai immediately ordered Lao Ba to go to the front. He clasped his hands together, his face extremely determined, and told everyone to move aside. Then he threw a powerful punch at the spot where the sign was. The punch seemed strong, sending rocks flying and shattering. A large hole appeared. The entrance was cleared. Lao Ba stood there, very confident. Liu Kai turned and said Lao Ba had the highest strength attribute in the team. He remembered it was 12. Zhang Ze thought to himself, only 12. That's even lower than mine. Everyone entered together. Liu Kai warned pit demon monsters like to hide in the dark. It's pitch black inside this area, so the monsters might be hiding in there. Everyone must be careful. With flashlights in hand, the team walked through the dark corridor. There were also some human skeletons around. After walking for a while, they came to an iron door. Liu Kai stepped forward and gently pushed the door open with both hands. The place they entered was the exhibition hall of the museum. Liu Kai said, "Everyone split up and act, but remember to be careful." After everyone split up to search, Liu Kai shone his flashlight on a landscape painting. Looking at its name below, the painting was named Spring River Boating. He read the name of the painting, and it seemed it wasn't the one the boss needed. Zhang Ze from behind asked, "Is Gift to Prince Jun this one?" Liu Kai took out his phone, looked at the photo in it, and compared it with the painting in front of him. It seems this is it. He was overjoyed, his face showing clear delight. Then he immediately took down the painting very professionally, and gently rolled it up and put it in his bag. Feng Zi laughed loudly. "Success. After I get the money, I'm going to Yunding Sealub to find some girls to have fun with." Zhang Ze wondered, is someone missing? Everyone looked around. Feng Zi asked, "Where's Tai Gang?" Liu Kai quickly took out his walkie-talkie and called Tai Gang. Copy. Lao Ba next to him frowned. He was just standing there. Where did he go? As the leader, he was a little worried. Liu Kai said, "We can't wait here. This place is dangerous." He decided to leave a message for Tai Gang, and the team would leave first. But from a hole above their heads, a pair of red eyes hiding danger was looking down. It was crawling out and looking down at the 4 people below. With his keen senses, Zhang Ze noticed something was wrong and turned to look, wondering, what's that sound? With a loud thud, something large fell from the floor above. Liu Kai and everyone else were terrified. Damn it, we ran into them. From the cloud of dust, a large green foot stepped out. It was a level 2 pit demon monster with a large eye in the middle of its stomach and a hideous set of teeth. Seeing it, Lao Ba immediately jumped up and punched, saying to everyone, "You guys retreat first, I'll deal with it." He jumped up with a dagger in his hand and slashed straight at it. Lao Ba tried his best, using all his strength along with the weapon in his hand to slash down. But the monster's skin was thick and its flesh was firm, breaking the dagger to his astonishment. Lao Ba cursed under his breath, "Damn it, this thing's skin is so thick." Immediately it used its large hand with sharp claws to grab Lao Ba. He crossed his arms in front of his chest to defend. The punch with extreme force sent dust and rocks flying. The others worriedly called out Lao Ba's name. Under the monster's large body, he slowly stood up. He was in extreme pain, his hand bruised and powerless. He said, "Only my hand is crippled." "I'm fine." Zhang Ze was worried. This monster is too terrifying. Lao Ba weighs over 100 kilograms, and he was hit once by the monster and slammed into the wall. The monster aimed its hideous mouth at them and roared, sending dust flying. He gritted his teeth, his face clearly showing fear. Suddenly remembering something, Zhang Ze quickly took the chicken from his bag and threw it straight at the pit demon monster. Taking advantage of it opening its mouth to eat the chicken, the team told each other to run outside quickly. But the small chicken wasn't enough to fill the gap between its teeth. It immediately chased after them. Seeing the 2 people behind moving slowly, Zhang Ze turned to look and saw the monster preparing to strike down both Feng Zi and Lao Ba. At this point, didn't know what to do. He took off his glasses and cursed, "Damn it." Then he took out his gun and shot, shouting, "Big bro, you guys run first, I'll risk my life with these monsters." Attacked by surprise, the monster quickly raised its hand to block the bullets. Lao Ba held a grenade in his hand and said, "The 2 of us will risk our lives with them today. If we die together." Then he threw the grenade at the monster, shouting, "Big bro, run." The grenade, as soon as it touched its body, immediately exploded, blowing the monster to pieces while the 2 of them, their life or death unknown. Liu Kai and Zhang Ze witnessed the huge explosion in front of them with pain. While he was worried about the 2 of them, Liu Kai just covered his face in grief. But he immediately pulled himself together and turned to say, "Now is not the time to be sad. Let's get out of here and then figure things out." Then he grabbed Zhang Ze's hand and pulled him to run outside. At the hole they first crawled into, Liu Kai said, "As long as we get out of this hole, we're safe." So the 2 of them crawled out. In no time, they were outside. The 2 of them were at the mouth of the hole about to get out, when suddenly Liu Kai froze. What awaited them made him both surprised and scared. Right in front of them was another large and ferocious pit demon monster staring at them. In the ruined landscape, it wasn't just one, but nearly a dozen pit demon monsters all around. Seeing fresh meat, the monsters were extremely excited. The eye in the middle of their stomachs opened wide and turned red, and they rushed towards the 2 of them. He took out his gun and threw the backpack with the painting to Zhang Ze, instructing, "The calligraphy painting is in the bag. You run first. My sister from now on, I'll entrust her to you." He exclaimed, "No, if we go together." Liu Kai held the gun and rushed forward, pointing it at the monsters and shouting. Then he charged and shot, continuously cursing, "Die, you disgusting things!" but the bullets seemed to have no effect. The eye in the middle of its stomach followed Liu Kai's every step, while its hand was raised ready to strike down. As the leader, his skills were not bad. Liu Kai also quickly jumped back to dodge the blow, but before he could land, another pit demon monster jumped and attacked. He quickly took out another grenade and pulled the pin with his mouth. Then he threw it straight ahead. The explosion blew the monster to pieces. Just as the smoke and dust cleared, the familiar mouth with 3 rows of sharp teeth appeared. A pit demon monster stood right behind Liu Kai. It was drooling, looking at its prey. Seeing this, Zhang Ze shouted a warning. "Big brother Liu, be careful." But it seemed too late. The monster had already caught him. Liu Kai stood frozen looking at it. His body was held tightly in its giant hand, unable to move. It swung its hand and threw him against the wall, causing the gun in his hand to fall and break in half. As for Liu Kai himself, he was in extreme pain, his face contorted as he tried to endure. He held onto a rock next to him, trying to stand up, but couldn't. Liu Kai sat down and sighed. Damn it. Looking at the monster running towards him, he thought, am I really going to die here? The monster jumped towards him with its sharp claws ready to strike down, while Liu Kai just sat there and took it without any resistance. He gritted his teeth and looked at the monster, almost having accepted his fate. Seeing this, Zhang Ze clenched his fist and immediately used his maximum speed to rush forward. In a flash, he was standing right in front of Liu Kai. Seeing that speed, he looked at the kid in front of him with an expression of utter astonishment. Then he cursed, "You damned monster," and clenched his fist, jumping up to solo it. He punched straight into the pit demon's palm. The extremely powerful force sent it flying backward. Liu Kai was amazed. "Oh my god, your strength is so powerful. You can even fight against monsters." The pit demon landed a little wobbly. The two brothers stood there looking at it. The battle had only just begun. Zhang Ze held his arm and turned to say, although it's not a problem, fighting directly with monsters is indeed not effective. He continued, "There are too many monsters. If they all charge at us at the same time, we won't be able to win." Hearing this, Liu Kai replied, "Don't worry. Pit demon monsters have a characteristic: they won't fight over prey. Unless one of them actively gives up, they won't charge at the same time." Sure enough, it was like that. Besides the one in front, the others around only growled but didn't charge forward. Zhang Ze clenched his fist confidently. "If that's the case, then I'm relieved." Having just been pushed back, the pit demon monster went crazy. The veins on its face bulged. Looking at the eye in its stomach, it opened wide. He asked, "Your strength is very great, but I wonder about your speed." It just roared, drool flying from its mouth, and then stretched out its 2 large arms to grab him. But with a speed of 15, what it grabbed was only air. Zhang Ze had already jumped away. He jumped into the air, forcing it to look up. He clenched his fist, ready to punch down, shouting, "Die, you bastard." Zhang Ze gave it a punch that shattered its face, sending it flying backward, teeth and lips all mixed up. One punch destroyed one of its eyes. From that spot, a green liquid flowed out. That was the blood of these monsters. It roared in pain while Zhang Ze quickly landed and regained his balance. The pit demon monster took that opportunity to reach out and try to grab him. Liu Kai sat there, eyes half closed, and praised Zhang Ze. "You're amazing, kid. That punch was fantastic." Then he coughed. Having been punched in one eye, the pit demon monster was now extremely angry. Just as he touched the ground, it also charged at the same time, reaching out to strike down. Its large hand with sharp claws was about to touch Zhang Ze when it froze. Then its entire body collapsed right in front of the two brothers. He raised his fist and said, "That last move was dangerous. Luckily, my speed was fast enough." Looking at his 10,000-kilogram fist, he sighed, "I've dealt with one. But as soon as one dies, another rushes in to take its place." Zhang Ze stood there looking at them. "There are 3 more left today. I'll fight you to the end." The two monsters looked at each other to see which one would have priority to go first. One of the 3 ran towards him. The other 2 stood still behind, observing, waiting for their turn. Zhang Ze got into a stance, held out his fist, ready to fight. Suddenly, something on his side caught his attention. Someone's foot stepped on his shoulder. A red-haired girl in a very sexy, tight-fitting outfit wearing a pair of sunglasses used his shoulder to launch herself forward, which greatly surprised him. She jumped up and punched the pit demon monster in the face, then immediately jumped back very agilely. It also quickly turned to look at the girl, then raised its hand to face her, attacking her. While the monster slammed its 2 hands down with her agile skills, she gently jumped behind it. Then she used her leg to deliver a powerful kick to the monster's back, causing it to stagger. He kick just now contained critical damage, shattering the monster's bones. Its body was split into 2 parts. Then it was defeated to the astonishment of everyone. Zhang Ze looked at her stunned. This girl is too formidable. The force of that kick just now was at least 2,000 kilograms. The girl stood there, turned her face back, and called out to him, "Kid," which made him a little startled. While he was still stunned and stuttering, a yellow car drove up from behind. The car drove up to the girl. The remaining monsters were also preparing to act. She said to Zhang Ze, "Get your friend and get in the car quick." He subconsciously replied with a loud, "Yes." Liu Kai also stumbled to his feet. The person in the car called out, "Big sis, get in the car quick. Another horde is coming." Hearing this, the girl immediately turned and ran quickly to the car, jumped in, and slammed the door shut. She said to the person next to her. Drive behind them were several monsters trying to catch up. The driver immediately pulled the gear lever and stepped on the gas. The car sped off at a breakneck speed, full throttle, flying over potholes and into the air. Behind them was a large number of monsters. The car drove fast. The monsters gradually gathered more and more, relentlessly chasing. Zhang Ze turned to look behind him, a little surprised. This was also the first time he had encountered monsters in real life. A large one was blocking the road ahead. It was preparing to attack. The car rammed straight into them, sending the whole group flying. The driver said, Big sis, there are so many monsters. If we lead them all to the city wall, what if they attack Tianfeng City? That would be troublesome. Looking at the number of monsters and hearing what was just said, she thought it made sense. She sat for a moment, thinking of a plan, then turned back and called out to Zhang Zhe Kid, "Stop looking." It turned out he was busy watching the monsters chasing them through the rear window of the car. Hearing her call, he was a little startled and turned back. The red-haired girl opened the roof of the car and said, "If you don't want to die, come and help." Then she picked up a bag and threw it into his lap, saying, "Get up and work. Don't waste my effort in saving you." He opened the bag. Inside were all kinds of grenades and smoke bombs. He was still wondering what they were when the red-haired girl immediately ordered, "These are flashbangs. Throw them behind to drive those monsters away." The car was still speeding along. The two of them had climbed onto the roof of the car while behind them, the giant monsters were still relentlessly chasing. Grenades and flashbangs were thrown out continuously. Large explosions, and the monsters were thrown into the air. Zhang Zhe and the red-haired girl stared at them. They were almost at the city wall. The girl took out a grenade and pulled the pin. On this side, Zhang Zhe also pulled the pin of a smoke bomb, preparing to throw. It wasn't just one or two of them. At the same time, they threw nearly a dozen bombs of all kinds at the monsters. The pit demon monsters, with their low intelligence, just blindly charged forward. The bombs were about to explode right in front of them. Loud explosions followed one after another, along with the flesh of the monsters being burned. The small car sped away behind the smoke and fire. In an instant, they had run far away, shaking off the monsters that were lying there. Sitting back in his seat, Zhang Zhe wondered, who is this girl? Why does she have so many weapons and bombs? The driver turned back and asked the two of them, "What did you guys do? Why were you targeted by the pit demon monsters?" Liu Kai put his hand on Zhang Ze's shoulder and replied, "We didn't do anything. We just wanted to go back to our hometown to visit graves and unexpectedly ran into pit demon monsters. Thank you both for saving our lives." The two of them didn't pay much attention to the naive explanation. They didn't believe it, but also didn't care. The girl turned back and asked Zhang Ze Kid, "What's your name? Just now when you were fighting the monster, you were very agile and also very brave. I've taken a liking to you." He frankly introduced himself as Zhang Ze. The girl praised him for having a nice name and added, "Next time, don't go to the ruined zone to dig for things. You could lose your life, unless you're a demon territory powerhouse." He was a little worried, thinking to himself, although this girl's identity is a mystery, it seems they don't have any malicious intentions. The girl added, "The city wall is ahead. You guys have someone injured. You need to get to the hospital quickly. We'll see you off here." The two brothers immediately thanked them. Zhang Ze helped Liu Kai down and asked, "Who are they?" He replied, "I don't know who they are. Maybe they're demon territory powerhouses, otherwise it wouldn't be so easy to defeat a pit demon monster." He turned to look after them. "What bad luck. My backpack was torn by the monster and the box with the painting in it was also dropped." Liu Kai clutched his chest in pain and sighed. "Fate has decided. Consider it a loss of property in exchange for our lives." He walked over to the city wall and added, "What's lost is lost. At least we're still alive." That afternoon at the city hospital, after leaving the ruined zone, Zhang Ze had taken Liu Kai here for a checkup. Walking down the hospital corridor, he took out his phone and scratched his head. He said, "Today was really full of twists and turns and danger." Looking at his phone, Zhang Ze thought to himself, if that girl hadn't suddenly appeared, perhaps Liu Kai and I would have died in the ruined zone. Walking up the stairs, he was still regretting losing the calligraphy painting. If not today, would have had some results, not just ending up empty-handed. As he walked, he accidentally bumped into a man wearing a hat and a tight-fitting mask. On his back, he was carrying a box. Zhang Ze, with his keen senses, realized the man's figure was strangely familiar. The two of them passed each other. He looked a bit fat and raised his hand to pull down his hat. He remembered that his figure was very similar to Tigang, who had suddenly disappeared when everyone was looking for the painting. He looked at him walking down and thought, he suddenly disappeared and now he's appeared here. Thinking this, he secretly followed him to see where he wanted to go and what he was going to do next. Zhang Ze kept his distance and quietly followed the man in the hat. He walked through various streets while he tried not to be discovered. Then he entered a small deserted alley. Zhang Ze stood hiding on one side of the wall, observing. He slowly peeked out his face to avoid being discovered by him. The young man took out his phone and called his boss. He reported, "Yes, I've arrived. No one is following me, don't worry." Zhang Ze cursed under his breath. "You bastard! Could it be that he's behind everything?" A moment after the call, two dark figures walked up to him. The boss walked in front, smoking. Behind him was a bald bodyguard with a long scar on his face. He smiled and looked at him, asking, "Did you bring the item I need?" Tai Gang took the box from his back and handed it over with a smile. "Of course I brought it." He opened it and asked, "What about my money?" The boss reached out and took the painting, replying, "You won't be short a single penny." He opened the painting to check. As he looked, he said, "I really admire you. You're ruthless and extremely decisive." After verifying the painting, the boss looked at Tai Gang and praised him. "To monopolize 3 million, you even framed your brothers who you've been with for over 10 years. You're truly ruthless." Hiding behind the wall and hearing the entire conversation, Zhang Ze cursed under his breath. "You bastard, Tai Gang, to do such a thing for money." After confirming, the boss signaled for the bald bodyguard to bring over a large suitcase. He opened it. Inside was 3 million in cash. Tai Gang quickly snatched the suitcase of money and turned to leave, saying, "Ruthlessness brings one closer to success." But behind him, the bald man had pulled out a gun and cocked it. Then he pointed it straight at Tai Gang's head, causing him to freeze. He turned back worried and stuttered, "What do you want?" Before he could get an answer, what he received was a bullet to the head. Then, he fell backward. dead. The boss stood there looking at him, lying in a pool of blood, repeating his words about ruthlessness and agreeing that it was very reasonable. In terms of ruthlessness, he was only more so, not less. Then the bald bodyguard came over to take the suitcase of money from Tai Gang's body. He held the painting in his hand and smiled. I have to be many times more ruthless than you. The boss turned and walked away. What I hate most are vile little people like you. In the small alley, a corpse lay alone. In this post-apocalyptic world, one person being dealt with was not a big deal. The other two quietly left, witnessing what just happened. Zhang Ze could only raise his hand to his mouth to not make a sound. He was shocked. A shot straight to the head, killing someone without blinking. He wondered, what is the background of this boss Li? Realizing the other two had gone far down the alley, Zhang Ze also decided to leave this place and go home. It was not yet late. Soon it was dark. He walked home with Xiaofeng waiting for him at the door. Zhang Ze walked in a hurry. After witnessing the whole incident just now, he was also a little worried. Xiaofeng smiled brightly and waved to her brother. Brother, you're back. How was your work today? His face was a little sad as he replied, don't mention it. Today was really a bit hard to put into words. Let's go inside. As they were about to enter, someone from the house next door opened the door and came out. Xiaofeng quickly called out, Uncle. She said this was the neighbor uncle who had given them apples. He turned to look at him. Unexpectedly, it was the bodyguard of Boss Li, the one who had just shot Tai Gang. Acting as if nothing had happened, he smiled and turned to greet them. Hello, you must be Xiaofeng's older brother, right? He was stunned and realized, thinking to himself, the scar on his face, how is it so similar to the bodyguard of Boss Li? Zhang Ze, by instinct, stepped in front of Xiaofeng and smiled obsequiously. Hello, uncle. Thank you for the apples. He still maintained a calm demeanor. Don't be so polite. We're neighbors. We'll have to help each other in the future. The naive little girl Xiaofeng said, That's right, uncle. Do you want to come to our house for dinner? Zhang Ze stopped her. I'm too tired today. Let's invite uncle another time. We'll go inside first. As he finished speaking, he pushed his sister inside. The little girl still turned back and waved to the uncle. If you have time, come to our house for dinner. Then the door slammed shut. The scarred uncle with a bag of trash in his hand still stood there watching. He now also realized something, his attitude a little cautious. Just after entering the house while Zhang Ze was still thinking about the uncle, Xiaofeng proactively said she was going to prepare dinner. He thought, impossible. Why is the scar on that uncle's forehead exactly the same as the assassin's? Could they be the same person? He immediately turned and said he needed to go out for a bit, which made Xiaofeng very curious because he had just come back and was already leaving again. Zhang Ze went to the window, turned and reminded her, be good at home and wait for me. Don't go out. He decided he had to clarify this matter, otherwise the two siblings would be in danger. Then Zhang Ze jumped from his balcony to the neighbors. Unexpectedly, the house next door had scattered lime powder on the balcony. He had noticed it. Luckily, his agility was now 15, so avoiding it was not too difficult. Zhang Ze slowly opened the window. Indeed, an ordinary person wouldn't set up defenses like this. Entering the neighbor's room, the furniture in the house was a bit too simple. The balcony even had lime powder scattered on it. This guy is definitely not an ordinary person. After searching for a while, he found a small box under the bed. He took it out and slowly opened it. Inside were files and some papers. Right on top, what caught his eye was a first-tier Demon Territory Powerhouse certificate in the name of Huang Hanfei. Holding the certificate in his hand, he frowned. It's him. He even disguised himself as an uncle and wants to live in the house right next to mine. What on earth does he want? While lost in thought, there was the sound of footsteps clattering from the stairs, getting closer and closer. Zhang Ze was startled and looked towards the door. Hanfei opened the door and said, Hey kid, come out on your own, or do you want me to drag you out? He wasn't wearing a hat, revealing his bald head and the hideous long scar, smiling sinisterly as he looked around the room. Hearing Hanfei's voice calling him out, Zhang Ze, who was hiding under the bed, thought, I hope he doesn't find me. If I get exposed, I'll have to risk my life against him. He walked in with a sinister smile and a gun in his hand. Zhang Ze tried to lie still but was very worried, sweat dripping. He approached the bed, walking and saying, Stop hiding. I know you're still in this room. Hanfei cocked his gun, a cruel smile on his face, ready to eliminate his opponent. Zhang Ze was now a little scared. Oh no, he found me as expected of a Demon Territory powerhouse. However, the clock was ticking. It was just a little while until 8 p.m. As the clock struck 7, the alarm went off. He was startled. Oh, it's 8 o'clock. At the same time, the alarm clock kept ringing. Hanfei's evil eyes lit up. He was overjoyed. Found you. The alarm had accidentally revealed Zhang Ze's location. His face showed a little fear. He stood there and fired at the sound of the alarm. The bullet was flying towards him at an incredibly fast speed. Just as the bullet was about to hit him, Zhang Ze's watch emitted an electric spark. The bullet was right in front of his face, but that was also when he entered the Demon Territory. Zhang Ze disappeared at that moment. From the outside, Hanfei's room radiated a dazzling blue light, along with the sound of a gunshot. He stood there, the gun barrel smoking, looking at the bed. Then he kicked the bed up to find Zhang Ze, but in front of him everything was empty. He pulled out the bullet that was embedded in the floor. Hanfei observed it and said, The Demon Territory gate opens at 8 o'clock. That kid must have entered the Demon Territory. He smiled sinisterly. Kid, I'll be here waiting for you to come back. He couldn't hide the evilness in his eyes and the excitement for his prey. Then he threw the bullet on the ground. Over here on the path to the Demon Territory, Zhang Ze's outfit had transformed into his Rakshasa identity. While looking at his attribute screen, he thought, he found me. That guy is definitely waiting by the bed for me to return, and I can't stay in the Demon Territory forever. Zhang Ze was worried. In 12 hours, when my stamina is depleted, I'll be kicked out of the demon territory. What should I do? The system screen asked him which floor of the demon territory he wanted to return to. Zhang Ze thought, I have to become exceptionally strong within 12 hours. Otherwise, I won't be able to fight that criminal. Then, without any hesitation, he immediately chose the 4th floor. Back at the 4th floor altar, everything was still the same. The adventurers were still gathered here, not daring to go out because of the fear of the death territory. Zhang Ze's image also slowly appeared. He had officially returned to the 4th floor. Observing the surroundings, he was a little surprised and wondered, has the death territory not disappeared yet? If I can't leave the altar, how can Zhang Ze kill monsters to increase his strength? In front of him, a few people were discussing. The people from the Demon Territory Management Bureau said, the death territory is about to appear. They told us to wait a bit. The person next to him cursed. Damn it! I've been waiting for more than 10 hours. How much longer do I have to wait? Everyone around was asking about the current situation. Someone said that when the boss in the death territory is defeated, the death territory will disappear. He heard that a group of high-level players was preparing to go in. Others added that to enter the death territory, you need an invitation from the death territory. Without it, you can't enter. Only by fighting bosses is there a chance for the invitation to drop a 1% chance. Zhang Ze was still silently listening to the information. Newcomers like us shouldn't even dream of it. The rewards in the death territory are very attractive, but the danger is also immense. You'll definitely die there. So even if you gave me an invitation, I wouldn't take it. From his inventory, he looked at the information of the death territory invitation. It was a kind of one-time use pass. After looking at the information, he was a little surprised because he didn't expect to get the invitation so easily. In his hand was the thing to enter the death territory. He had gotten it after defeating money-earning superhero. After he used it, a blood-red space appeared along with a question from the system. The death territory gate has opened. Do you want to use the invitation to enter? Zhang Ze thought. I've already cleared the first 3 floors. Going back to kill monsters won't give me any rewards and I can't enter the 4th floor. Moreover, in the real world, there's a demon territory powerhouse who wants to kill me. It seems I have no other choice. Thinking this, he clicked yes to use the death territory invitation to enter. Hoping to quickly increase his strength, a notification appeared. Successfully used. You will enter the death territory in 3 seconds. Please, prepare. The system began to count down. The invitation also gradually dissipated. Blue and black auras were flying around his body. When the countdown reached 1, the ground under Zhang Ze lit up with a teleportation gate. His entire body was enveloped in a mysterious blue and black light, officially entering the death territory. In an instant, he was teleported to the death territory. In front of him, there were already some adventurers who had arrived before. The space was enveloped in a blood-red color, very eerie. As a newcomer, he didn't quite understand what was going on. There were some people who were also newcomers but still risked entering. Moreover, there were also foreigners. Zhang Ze wondered, aren't the demon territories between countries not connected? Why are there so many foreigners here? Observing the surroundings, he saw people of color, and based on their clothing, people from Japan as well. While lost in thought, a hand patted his shoulder, calling his name Asura. He was a little startled and immediately turned his head to look. In front of him, unexpectedly, was the girl he had saved that day, when the elite iron-toothed wolf boss appeared, Liu Yueying. She gently raised her hand and greeted him. Yueying looked quite cheerful and said, I finally found you. She stepped forward gratefully. You saved my life last time. I've been looking for you to repay you, but I couldn't find you. I didn't expect us to meet here. The old man with white hair and a sword on his back behind her said, Oh, and asked Yueying, is he the one who helped you distract the Dark Shadow Wolf last time? She smiled and replied, Yes, Uncle Liu. He was the one who saved me that day. Zhang Ze waved his hand and dismissed it. Oh, that was just a small matter not worth mentioning. Yueying introduced, This is my Uncle Liu. His name is Killing the Wind, and behind him is my younger brother, A Midnight Summer Dream. The young boy behind her holding a crystal ball waved and greeted Zhang Ze. Uncle Liu praised him, Well done, kid. You came to the death territory alone. You're brave. He reminded him. But this place is not like the demon territory. Not only are the monsters more ferocious, but there are also many foreign adventurers. Fights often break out over monsters and items. Uncle Liu stepped forward and offered an invitation. So you shouldn't go alone. It's best to go with us. The younger brother also agreed. Brother Rakshasa, Uncle Liu is an elite-level adventurer. If you go with us, you'll be absolutely safe. Hearing the 3 words, excellent rank. Zhang Ze was a little stunned. This person's strength was relatively high. According to the Demon Territory Handbook, the adventurer's strength assessment was divided into 6 ranks. Newcomer, proficient, excellent, powerful, extraordinary, and finally the title of peak level. He didn't expect the man in front of him to be elite level. It could be seen that his strength was not weak at all. Zhang Ze thought, This is my first time in the death territory. I'm a bit new to it. It's indeed very dangerous. He shook Uncle Liu's hand and said, Actually, this is my first time entering the death territory. If you agree to let me go with you, that would be great. He placed his hand on his shoulder and praised him. Not arrogant. I like your personality. Yueying, standing next to him, heard this and smiled faintly. She was a little worried that he would refuse. If so, she wouldn't be able to repay him for saving her life. Then the system screen announced, Rakshasa has joined the team. Uncle Liu spoke up. Asura has joined the team, so we are now teammates. I think we need to know each other's talents, so that if we encounter problems in the future, we can cooperate better. Zhang Ze didn't hesitate to agree. Uncle Liu raised his hand and held the sword behind his back, introducing, My talent skill is ricochet. Describing Ricochet with an image of a green monster charging at the sword behind Uncle Lou's back, it lit up. He immediately used Repel, sending the monster flying far away. The skill description was, knocks the target back 10 steps and stuns the target for 30 seconds. As for the younger brother's skill, it was Illusion, which could create an illusion of a target with a duration of 1 hour. Immediately, the younger brother used the skill to create a copy of himself. However, the illusion could only stand there and not fight. It was Yue Ying's turn. My talent skill is Slash of Light. I'm sure you saw it last time. So what is your talent skill? Zhang Za thought. Sooner or later, someone will find out anyway, I might as well say it now. My talent skill is Summoning Art. As he said this, he created a green circle of light under his feet, then raised his hand and created a circle of light in his palm. At the 5th Academy in Tianfeng City of the Daxia Nation, the atmosphere in a classroom was incredibly boisterous. Yet Zhang Ze was still calmly gazing at the scenery outside through a window. While he was completely relaxed in his own thoughts, oblivious to the world, the classroom was nothing short of a battlefield. An agitated young man had climbed onto his desk and was kneeling praying to his ancestors, burning incense and begging God to bless him with the awakening of an A-rank talent. A young man next to him, annoyed by the spectacle, said loudly, "Stop being so greedy. The entire country combined doesn't even have 1,000 people with A-rank talents." Another student behind them had his face buried in his arms, extremely tense, wondering what talent he would awaken tonight. Someone mentioned hearing that a student from a previous year had awakened an S-rank talent and was directly sent to Qing University Martial Art Academy, now having become a first-tier Demon Territory powerhouse. Powerhouses in this world were divided into 5 tiers: first tier, second tier,